puck drop on the regular season is 46 hours away. Welcome back, Devils fans. It is I got problems early. Welcome back, Devils fans. It is your host, Ace, here on Running with the Devils, where we are talking New Jersey Devils hockey all year long. Please hit that subscribe button, smash the like, share with a friend. Thank you very much. Oh, and we are so close. I could taste it, friends. The NHL has officially opened up the 25-26 campaign tonight with a slate of games. I kind of have one eye on the out-of-town scoreboards here. The Rangers still down 1-0. Okay, first intermission. Panthers win 3-2. We got the Avs and Kings late night, but we are so close. So close. As many of you, I saw a couple of you commenting, I finally did get around to making the studio somewhat presentable. It was a long, debilitating process. I had a lot of different ideas, some unusual stuff, but in the end, it is fairly similar to the old studio. Maybe a couple new things some of you might pick up on. Agonizing decisions, guys. I have, I don't know, a ridiculous amount of Devils memorabilia, and I've been going through it very slowly over the past few weeks, and I kind of get caught up looking at things, and I'm like, wow, this would be cool to put in, that would be cool to put in, and kind of got in my own way and just kind of let it go on for too long. So thank you to my good friend Brian, who berated me last night. Actually berated me via telephone about how long it was taking me to get the studio built. And he gave me a good tongue lashing. And then when I tried to change the subject, we were talking about other stuff. Then he'd come right back to berating me for not having the studio done. And he was completely right. I had no answer or defense. I just kind of bashed myself with him and said, "You're right, Brian. This shit is way overdue." So here we are. Finally got it done. Told you guys I'd have it done before the season. Hopefully, I have some ideas to try to, this is not ideal. This is good for now. I have grand visions, guys. Grand, insane visions for this whole thing. Buckle up. We're just getting started. But I have a lot of big plans, and hopefully some of them can come to fruition. But our New Jersey Devils are 46 hours away. Starting from a couple days ago, we saw some early moves. We get to the first one. A couple days ago, the Devils placed Callan Addison, Nico Dawes, and Mike Hardman, Gruden, and Legare on waivers to go to Utica. They also sent Edwards, great preseason for Ethan Edwards, Diot, Villain, and Perrant to Utica. They also sent Malone, Malofsky, and Romanov, the PTO goalie, and Austin Strand to Utica, along with Bordelot, the Shank, Angus Crookshank, Brian Hallinan, Zach McEwen, and Colton White, all to Utica, leading up to the Devils announcing the roster ahead of the 25-26 season. And there you see it via the New Jersey Devils. Devils announced roster for the start of 25-26 season. The New Jersey Devils today announced the roster submitted to the NHL for the start of the 25-26 season. And there you have it. Forward, Stefan Nason, Cody Glass, Nico Hischier, Connor Brown, Andre Plot, Shane LaChance, Mark McLaughlin, Timo Meyer, Lenny Hameenaho, Evgeny Dodonov, Paul Cotter, Jesper Bratt, Arseny Gritsyuk, Juho Lamico, Jack Hughes, Dawson Mercer. Love to see Hameenaho and LaChance on there. Defensemen, Brendan Dillon, Dougie Hamilton, Jonathan Kovacevic, Shimo Nemitz, Brett Pesci, Seamus Casey, Luke Hughes, Dennis Cholowski, Jonas Siegenthaler, and the goaltenders, Jacob Markstrom and Jake Allen. Obviously, to note on here, Johnny Kovacevic, long-term injured reserve. Hopefully, we see him sometime next year, but we don't really know. That's going to be kind of, we'll get more information as we get closer, but for now, it's nowhere near. And then a short time ago, a few hours ago, Hameenaho, LaChance assigned to Utica. The New Jersey Devils announced today that forwards Lenny Hameenaho and Shane LaChance have been assigned to Utica of the AHL. I thought this would be coming. Obviously, I thought both of these guys are very, very promising. Nearly NHL ready, if not already, but because of the forward depth that we did not have last season, specifically in the bottom six, there really wasn't a spot. When we looked at the lineup, you're thinking where are these guys going to go? And I think that was kind of, the main roadblock for them to crack the lineup right now. If this was last year's team, I think both of them are probably in the opening night lineup, but this is not last year's team. We did get some enhancements in the bottom six, and so their path to the team right now is slightly blocked. I do expect both LeChance and Hameenaho to be amongst the first call-ups in the unlikely and probable event of an injury or injuries to guys on the main club. And so when someone goes down, it's nice to know that we have guys waiting in the wings. And by the wings, I mean in the AHL with the Utica Comets that are capable of coming into the big club and playing meaningful minutes. Last year, we saw a kind of rotation of just unimpressive bottom six guys kind of cycled through. No one really stuck. No one really did anything. The bottom six was a black hole pretty much all year. And it is what it is. That is not going to be the case this year. And then we get to the news everyone was waiting for. Glendening signs 1-year contract. The New Jersey Devils and president/general manager Tom Fitzgerald announced today that the team has signed forward Luke Glendening to a 1-year, one-way contract worth $775,000. The Devils previously signed the veteran forward on a professional tryout basis before the start of training camp in September. Glendening, 36, spent the last 2 seasons with the Tampa Bay Lightning since 22-23. The 5'11", 190-pound forward faceoff percentage, 57%, led all Lightning skaters last season, while his 105 hits ranked fifth on the team. A native of Grand Rapids, Michigan, Glendening has totaled 166 career points in 864 career regular season games with Detroit, Dallas, and Tampa Bay. Blah, 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 blah. And you have it. Glendening, 4C, came into camp, played his ass off, earned the spot, beat out some much younger competition, and will start the season as the fourth-line center for our beloved New Jersey Devils, and well-earned by Glendening. He came in, did his thing, as referenced in the article. Very good on faceoffs. Hopefully can lighten the load on the captain, Nico Hischier, a little bit. As you guys all know, Nico, over the past couple seasons, if not the most, has taken amongst the most draws in the entire league because we had nobody else. But hopefully he could help in that department. Also, on a side note, going back to not this one, Nico Dawes. Lots of people were wondering what was going to happen with him. Would the Devils even consider carrying a third goalie? Would they try to trade him? Who knows, if Fitzy did explore the trade market, but if he did, then it turns out there wasn't one, because not only was he not traded, but he needed to clear waivers to get to Utica. And a lot of us thought that there was a chance a team would take a chance on him and claim him. And he made it through. Nobody claimed him on waivers, which I'm kind of happy about. I didn't want to see him lost for nothing. And no one claimed him. And so he made it through safe. Will be on the Comets. Most likely, I'd imagine, with Jakob Malik as the tandem there. And who knows what the future holds for Dawes. But I'm glad we didn't lose him for nothing, and he'll be on the Comets for this season. Always like to have a kind of pool, if you will, prospect pool of goaltenders. And with Big Mike Yegorov, Malik, Dawes is still in the group. It's good to have. Although I do think we will see Markstrom extended at some point soon, and we will likely see Markstrom and Jake Allen as the Devils tandem for at least a couple years beyond this season. Truly trying to win now. It is nice to know that we have some guys in the organization that could hopefully come together to make a nice tandem at some point in the future. But for now, we look to win now, and we got the Jakes, Markstrom and Allen, and we look, not much has changed here. We look at the line combinations as we will start the 25-26 season. Your New Jersey Devils top line featuring Dodonov, jackhughes, Jesper Bratt. I don't know what it is, but something about this team I'm not going to lie, guys. I am super excited. I just think a lot of these guys are on a mission. I think a lot of these guys did not like the way last season ended, obviously, and I think we could be in for a special year, but it starts with staying healthy. But a top line of Dodonov, Hughes, and Bratter with a second line, Timo Meier, Nico Hischier, Dawson Mercer. Third line, Andre Palat, Cody Glass, Connor Brown. And the fourth line, Paul Cotter, Glendening, and Arseny Gritsyuk. And as many of you know or have heard me talk about over the past couple weeks, I do think Cotter and Gritsyuk can be a filthy duo in the bottom six, and I think they will give matchup nightmares to a lot of teams. And so far in preseason, I mean, obviously you got to do it when the games count, but Cotter and Gritsyuk were doing damage, and I think they're going to terrorize fourth lines for as long as they stay together and on the fourth line. I think the sky is the limit for those two, and I think Gritsyuk is going to be a special player. I don't want to get too much ahead of myself, but what we've seen from Gritsyuk so far, the skill is there. The skill is absolutely there, and I think he is going to be a big contributor for this team, and I think Fitz was counting on it. But excited to see what he could do in his first NHL season. So today, ESPN staff released a lot of their futures picks for the season. They picked the division. They picked cup winners. I think they picked some other stuff as well. But I'm going to keep it focused on the division and the cup. But we'll start with the division. You see there, let me do this quick mental math. So that's 25 picks. So out of the 25 people polled here, you could see all the names, some familiar ones and some not so familiar. But 25 people polled here for this. 15 of them picked the Carolina Hurricanes to win the division. 7 picked the Devils. 2 picked the Capitals, and 1 picked the Rangers. Sean McDonough, like, what a homer pick. I thought he was a New York guy. He might be. But anyway, I don't know how anyone picks the Rangers and, like, can seriously believe that. But pretty much in line with Vegas betting odds. The Hurricanes are the favorite to win the division, and the Devils are the second favored team to win the division. And that's essentially how it played out in this poll. 15 picking the Canes, 7 with the Devils. But listen, I don't really care if people pick against us or not. I just want this team to succeed. It doesn't mean much to me what the panel, if you will, is picking. But then we get to the cup picks. And the thing that made headlines in Devils kind of land, Devils world, whatever you want to call it throughout the day is one person picked the New Jersey Devils to win the Stanley Cup. And that who? Be John Tortorella. Oh, Tortorella. What an absolute legend. I know a lot of people don't really like this guy. I always thought he was hilarious. I always liked his fire. One of my favorite things from years ago was him fighting with Larry Brooks, the beat reporter for the Rangers, that had some great back and forth. And I always wanted Tortorella to be the Devils coach from way back in the day. It never materialized, unfortunately, but he was always a guy I liked. And, you know, talk about wearing your heart on your sleeve. I mean, and then he was involved when he was in Vancouver, he was involved in like some melee in the hallway or like the tunnel between the locker rooms. And like there was refs and shit trying to break it up. It was crazy, but always loved Torts. And he is the sole person on the panel to pick the Devils to win the cup. The Avalanche seemed like a very, popular pick. Several people picked the Avalanche. You had a few Oilers in there, including former NHL player TJ Oshie. And then obviously the Panthers to repeat. I don't know when I meant to read the article more in depth to see if they announced when these people picked these. Because if you're picking the Panthers after Barkov went down, it's a little bit of a gutsier pick. You know, I think prior to that, you may have seen, it must have been after the Barkov news broke, because if it wasn't, I feel like more people would have picked the Panthers. But Sean Allen, Bob Wischusen, Emily Kaplan, all going with the Panthers, but Torts, a familiar foe, picks our beloved New Jersey Devils to win the cup. And if somehow, mental note made, if somehow we win, there would have to be some sort of something for John Tortorella. I'm not really sure what, but what an exciting few days, guys. Roster looking pretty much exactly as we thought. Some guys put on LTIR to become cap compliant. The question still remains when Johnny Kovacevic comes back. Well, I guess a couple questions, right? It's like, who's coming out when Kovacevic comes back? If someone comes out. and what other moves are made to become cap compliant. But those are those are future problems down the line. We're not worrying about those today. Not at all. We are not worrying about those today. They'll figure it out at some point then. But for now, gearing up for the season. And I have a really good feeling about this team. I'm not really sure why. I think it's a multitude of things. I'm probably going to drop a double tomorrow. There'll probably be a 2-pack of videos. And there might be 2. Well, what's today? Today's Tuesday. So there'll probably be 2 videos tomorrow. And then probably 1 Thursday morning. I'm going to have a lot of season preview, kind of predictions type stuff that a lot of you have been asking for. But I've been kind of, tied up with the studio and going over some things, waiting to see how everything shook out. I always like to use all the time available before, making my predictions and all that stuff and just kind of letting it simmer. The preseason just ended, but let's see what you guys are talking about here. Four Devils says somehow the offseason end is, I don't know what that is. Felt like waiting for paint to dry. Let's go Devils. 95, 2000, 2003. The boys better come out hungry versus the Canes Thursday. Yeah, I mean, if returning to the scene of the crime doesn't motivate you, and by the crime, I mean blowing a 3-goal lead in a playoff elimination game, I don't know what will motivate you. And while it would, beating them in that game is fairly meaningless, I think it would mean something to the group. I mean, we need to knock them out in the playoffs like several times to even remotely talk about revenge. What's going on, Maria? I expect the unveiling of Ace's new studio setup. Ta-da! There it is, Maria. There it is. Robbie's bench toss says, former Devils Greer and Boquist score. Rangers down after 1. Happy opening night. Greer also had a nice tilt, by the way. If you didn't see it, Greer dropped the mitts and had a nice bout. Robbie says he does have 48 hours left. Ahead of schedule. I got my assignment done early. Four Devil Rags, losing is always comforting like a warm blanket. I'm not much of a fan of Pens winning either. Oh, those Pens. Oh, those Pens. Back in the day, I remember Devils Penguins had some crazy battles in the late 90s when they were pretty damn good almost every year. Pyro, what's going on? Yeah, finally. It's been a long, long, long summer. Long, long, long summer. What's going on, Mr. Coconuts? Tasha says, oh, sweet studio. Thank you. Thank you. Let's go Devils. Like some of the new pictures behind you. Maria, love the studio museum quality. Thanks. Hopefully one day, I've talked about it. It was a childhood dream, and it still is a dream, to have or be involved in like a Devils museum of some kind. I have a bunch of ideas, but that's on the back burner for now. But definitely have some really cool stuff, a lot of cool stuff that could make a very nice museum dedicated to the history of the New Jersey Devils. Robbie says, like the Marty Shadow Box edition. Thank you, sir. It's the back plate from one of his masks. One of my favorite random items. Tasha says, 48 hours. Man, I was so bummed Lachance got shut down. So much for being in the opening lineup. Yeah, I figured it was a long shot, but he was amongst the last cuts, which tells me he probably will be, like I've kind of said for a while now, will be amongst the first call-ups. He's going to be on the top line in Utica. Hopefully that, does help his development a little bit, but I think he probably is very close to ready. And if he's not, I was more than willing to let him kind of do on-the-job training at the NHL level. I think he has that much upside, and I think he's that unique of a player compared to all the other guys on the roster. I love Lachance. Obviously not wishing injury on anyone, but I would love to see him in this lineup sooner than later. Devil Heaven smells like fall in upstate New York. Also Dev season. What's going on, Devil Heaven? Pyro the Tazar. Yeah, that was in the other. I don't remember exactly where it was, but it was in the old studio. It just may not have been in as prominent of a spot. Cody, thoughts on our roster compared to 23 opening night? Cody, are you talking about 22-23 or 23-24? Oh, I'm trying to skip ahead here because this always happens. Yeah, Maria, I have so many bobbleheads. I could have filled that whole case plus probably another couple with bobbleheads. I just grabbed the ones that I had around. But hopefully one day the new and improved studio, which I'm hoping to have, will be a lot more kind of thorough. Pyro says, Ace, I take it you're a huge fan of the white, black, and red. Just a little bit. For Devil, the audio equipment is the same. Jesse, studio's looking amazing. Ace, thank you, Jesse. Appreciate that. Sean says it looks good. Thank you. Thank you. Tasha, can only stay for a minute. I unfortunately have a history project due tomorrow. I haven't started, but drop the like for Ace, everyone. Thanks, Tasha. Don't be a procrastinator. I mean, it's easy for me to say now, but when I was a kid, I did the same shit. Last minute everything, cramming, studying, handing in papers with the ink still wet from the printer because I printed it in the other thing. I mean, it's just try to get ahead of your assignments, but I know it's I wasn't a good student, I must say. All right, I'm trying to skip ahead here. Tasha, Glendening is 36. Contract is going to age like plot. Massive overpaying the dooming. Yeah, it's a 1-year deal at league minimum. I'll take it any day. I will take that deal any day. Yo, Holmes says, yo, Ace, thank goodness we didn't lose Dawes to waivers. What is the deal in Utica now with Dawes, Romanov, and Jakob? I'm curious to see if Romanov is still on a PTO. I haven't seen the thing that they offered him a contract. I'm curious to see how that all plays out, but that's a pretty solid, any two of those guys is a pretty solid duo in Utica, and obviously expect them to do much better this season than they did last year. We'll see how it goes. But in the end, if I'm being honest, I don't really care too much how they finish on the season. I obviously want to see them do well. But in the end, the main purpose of Utica's existence is to nurture and develop that talent for the NHL, for the New Jersey Devils at some point. SST says, I lobbied Glendening signing. Pyro says, Cotter, Glendening, Gritsyuk. Yep. E-Studios coming together, Chief Rubberneck. Woodson says, forward group is sad. Oh, come on, man. Come on, Woodson. Is it the greatest forward group ever? No, but you can't say it's sad. Travlin, what's going on? He says, no way Grit stays on the fourth line. That's a thing that a lot of people are hoping you see Gritsyuk in the top 6, which I wouldn't hate. But if the lines are kind of clicking as they are, you might see him on a third or fourth line for a little while. If we could get that truly balanced attack, I think it could be a very, very nice thing. Obviously, we did not have that luxury last year as we've beaten to death a million times. The bottom 6 did nothing all year. And it seems like we could have a bottom 6 that can contribute regularly now. Now, a lot of people are going to say, oh, Dadonov in the top 6. Obviously not ideal. And who knows? Maybe there is a world where you do see Gritsyuk get on the top line with Jack and Bratter, and Dadonov is somewhere in the bottom 6. And then as a result of that, we might see a complete, reshuffling of the lines. Who knows? But I think for at least a little while, you're going to see Keefe stick with what we've seen thus far. And hopefully it all works out and we get that beautiful top to bottom contribution from everyone. Would love to see it. I mean, you need bottom 6 scoring to have a decent team and to go far in the playoffs. And I feel like we might have the ingredients now for that to happen. Devil Heaven, this is a blue-collared, hardworking force. Reminds me of the 2000 Stanley Cup team. Yeah, I will say to that point, Devil Heaven, and this is going to be talked about again in my season preview video or whatever also. But, and I don't want to get too ahead of myself, but while a lot of people were kind of disappointed in the, non-acquisition of a top 6 player and kind of, thumbed their nose at the Connor Brown and Dadonov additions. And now I guess you could add Glendening to that list. All of a sudden, when I look at this group, it does, and don't, jump down my throat. This is not, exactly apples to apples, obviously, but loosely speaking, this group is way more reminiscent to me of a Stanley Cup caliber team / the cup winning teams for your New Jersey Devils. And what I mean by that is, and I've talked about this forever as well, those teams had a lot of veterans on all of them. The 95, 2000, 2003 team had a good amount of veterans. They had a nice chunk of players that were kind of in the middle, like near the prime of their careers. And then they had a couple youth infusions of young guys. This group, even going back to 22, 23, it did feel like, by and large, a young, inexperienced team that was kind of getting their footing and trying to grow and develop as a team. Now you're talking about even Jack Hughes entering his 7th season in the league. He's a vet now. And then you look around at everybody else. The leadership group before, I think, primarily consisted of guys like Dylan, obviously Nico, Pesci, probably Nason. But now you add more guys to that group that have the experience, have been in the playoff wars in Connor Brown, Dadonov, and Glendening. And now you look at the team and you're like, this is not a super young team of kids anymore. They have guys that have been down the road and have been in playoff battles and know what it takes to win. Obviously, Pally as well. I know, people are going to say whatever they're going to say about Pally, but Palat, a winner with tons of experience. And now when you look at the team, you're like, okay, this is not this super wet behind the ears young group of kids that has no chance. It does feel like a much more complete team in terms of competing. I don't know if that's going to make sense to some of you, but when I see all these additions and you sit back and look at it, it's like, okay, this seems more like a formula of a cup contending team because of the experience and the age. And obviously, even for the young guys, they're now a year older and with a year more experience. The guys like Dawson Mercer and the Paul Cotters of the world. And so I'm very excited. Faye says, on paper, this team looks devilishly good, but it all depends on how they play on the ice with each other. Yeah, for sure. For sure. We need to see the results. For Devil, there will be line juggling, so we'll see how it pans out. Let's go Devils. Ace, you think Timo's going to be right wing starting this year? He needs to be if we want to see him at his max potential. So it seems like he's going to still play left wing, but he'll float around out there, and he always drives down the right side. If you watch, anytime he gets the puck in space, he's always going to the right. It is what it is. In terms of him having a good season, I'm slightly more concerned about his power play or lack thereof power play time. But, I mean, what blessings we have in terms of high-end skill where we could make endless power play combinations that will all be lethal between the forwards, having both Dougie Hamilton and Luke Hughes available as power play quarterbacks. I mean, the options are endless. We could give teams all kinds of different looks, and I think the power play is once again going to be deadly. I really do. Evan says, I'm a Colts fan and wasn't expecting much. Now my hopes are high. Devils to the Cup Finals. Woodson, we are good on paper, not so much when we have some contact on the ice. Well, let's just see, my man. Let's just see. Yo Home says, Tasha, you had me scared. Oh, yeah, no, Tasha was kidding. I could tell. Travelin says, I can't wait to see how the first 10 games go. Yeah, the month of October is going to tell us a lot about this group. No favors from the schedule makers. We're running the gauntlet, and we're going to find out right away. Is this team real? Or are they for real? Or are they fugazi? Are they pretenders? But I don't think they are. And there's so many subplots and storylines within this team for the season that I'm excited to follow along with. But yeah, tomorrow you're going to probably get hit with a 2-pack of videos. There's probably going to be an AM and a PM because I have a lot going on, and I'm not going to say it all here because I'm just going to forget some of it. And then a lot of it, I don't want to make a one continuously long rambling video, so I'll break it up into 2 for tomorrow. Pyro, I hope Grits and Cotter make each other be on fire and maybe each over the third line. Paul Cotter, another guy that I think has top 6 skill. Will he get a chance? But I do think he is like a perfect bottom 6 guy because he has that skill, has the wheels, the hands. Having a guy like him in the bottom 6 with the tenacity he's got that dog in him. I love Paulie. You need guys like Paul Cotter if you want to win a cup. I absolutely love Paul Cotter. John faces Tortorella picking the Devils. Who would have thought? Jax, as a Ranger fan, told me the Rangers are winning it. That's no surprise. Critter Chronicles still didn't get a top 6 winger. Dadonov on the first line is just a disgrace. I'm not going to say it's a disgrace, but it's obviously underwhelming. And I had this conversation with Steve the Maniac when we got him. We were like, oh, Dadonov, that's a great bottom 6 addition. And then we're like, wait a minute. Does Fitz think he's going to plug him into the top 6? And sure enough, that did happen. But listen, before everyone bashes it, let's see how it goes. There's a chance that this guy could perform there. People are condemning it before we even saw a real game out of them. Let's see what he's got. I mean, people are already kind of poo-pooing it. Let's see. I hope to go out there and tear it up, and Dadonov is dominating with them. But if not, there's other guys waiting in the wings to try to slide into his spot. we're going to see how it goes. 4 Devil says 10 games is your team thermostat. Michael S. A Studio looking good. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Anson, 100 watching and 20 likes. Give a thumbs up, comrades. Yeah, thanks. Don't be stingy. Hit the thumbs up. Hit the thumbs up. Woodson says 3-7 in the first 10 games. Woodson, you are just unbelievable, my man. 3-7. Do you really believe that? That would be, 3-7. I'm not jumping off a bridge yet, but I'm close. 3-7, 6 points out of, that's pretty bad, dude. 6 points out of 20 possible. Yeah, that's no bueno. That'd be brutal. That'd be absolutely brutal. What's going on, Gary? John Wooden says, only if Torts came into Coach Softy. Oh, my God. Yo, Holmes, my brother just ran into Torts at the tractor supply down in Voorhees. I had some friends in college that lived down there. Voorhees is definitely Flyer territory, obviously, and I think a lot of the Flyers players live there, right? It's like a nice southern New Jersey suburb that provides them quick, a quick little drive to Philly. Yeah, Jack says, I guess that's what I'm saying, Brooksy. What a good... For those of you, if you have never seen it, just put it in YouTube. Put Tortorella, Larry Brooks, and you'll see the great exchange that I was talking about earlier. Robbie's bench boss, you like that pick, Brooksy? Torts probably. Oh, you guys are funny. John Fay says, Torts is a nice guy who takes his job serious as a coach should. Traveling Torts is awesome. Hard-ass coach just wants everyone to do their best. It seems like a lot of people like Tortorella. Devil having Brooksy great interviews. Yeah, Larry Brooks is a OG hockey journalist. I remember him from when I was a kid. I'm not sure how many decades in the game he's been, but I always remember reading his stuff. I think in wherever he was at the time, was it the Post, I think? Of course Luke is in the starting lineup. Nicholas says, how is Nason? Will he be ready for opening night? You should know by now, my man. With the injuries, you never really know. I can't call that one. They're kind of being vague about his injury. I would love to see him in there for opening night, but I think there's a good chance that we don't. Let's go Devils. I believe Glendening will be in the opening day lineup. I thought they were talking about Lukehughes. But Glendening will be the 4C. Robbie's bench tossed. It's too bad Torts isn't in Philly to coach Zegras. There'd be fireworks. Oh, I'd imagine that Zegras is not, a quote-unquote Torts type of player, I would imagine. John Woodson, fun fact, McJesus is only making $3.5 million more than Luke. Connor giving a team discount where Luke asking for an overpayment. So a lot of people are talking about this. It is very different, though, Woodson, because obviously, first and foremost, Connor McDavid's career earnings are already completely insane. And obviously, he's going to make a ton of money after this contract as well. Now, I do think, it's not apples to apples. Like McDavid's already made, I don't know, probably $100 million. This is Luke's first big payday. And so I understand like where the frustration comes. And I would have liked to see him sign for a little bit less as well. But it is what it is. $9 million, I think, is fair for both sides. Would I have liked to see less? Yeah. But he didn't hold them hostage for like 10.5 or 11, which they probably started at in terms of the negotiating point. But McDavid's already made his money. There's plenty of money to come after this contract, and he wants to win. And shout out to McDavid. I posted about this as soon as it got announced. Well, actually, it was announced that the deal happened without the details. And I immediately posted on X something along the lines of, I'm thinking this is going to be pretty team friendly when it gets announced. And then they announced it at 12.5. And I was like, wow. If you're not following me on X, I'm getting a little more involved in there. I just dropped the link in the chat. Follow your boy on X. I'm getting more involved for sure this season. And we'll continue, posting and interacting with people on there. So follow your boy, dropped it in the chat. But a ridiculous home discount. And I said, I hope other guys around the league take notice, because that is truly a team-friendly deal. Perhaps one of the most team-friendly deals in the history of the sport. In the history of the sport. And that shows that this man really does want to win. Because after Kaprizov signed, you could have told me Connor McDavid was demanding $22 million or whatever. The max one player could get is 20% of the cap. So call it $20 million, whatever. And he'd be worth every penny. But he knows that he had to leave meat on that bone. Like our boy Fitz talks about, if you want to win and you want the team to be as good as possible, you got to leave a little bit of the meat on the bone, meaning not suck every cent out of the organization so that they have the flexibility to go and sign other players and be under the salary cap. And I always say, put your money where your mouth is. And Connor McDavid left a ton of money on the table. You love to see it from the best player in the game. And I hope other guys around the league take notice and maybe follow suit. If you're serious about winning, now listen, again, it's circumstantial. I'm talking more about guys who have already made the majority of their career earnings and have no worries. This was Luke's first big payday. I'm not going to hold it against him. And in the end, it wasn't an extortion contract, despite what many of you believe. It's not a vast overpayment, and the contract will age pretty well, assuming Luke does what we think he's going to do. And I do think he will become that guy, where in 3 years from now, you're like, yeah, that's a great contract. Everyone who bashed it back then is an idiot. I think that will be the case. But Connor McDavid at 12.5 is completely insane. Completely insane. Husky Unchained, your head blocks the best photo. Just take it down and send it to me already. Much love from your #1 fan. Yo, I can't do that, obviously. This is a treasure chest item. But email me. I have something else to send you, Husky. Shoot me an email. Let's go Devils. The cap going up, the Luke contract is going to look better and better. Four Devils says McJesus has pissed off the NHLPA. But here's the thing. Like, I don't know how mad can the Players Association get, because everyone knows why he did it. It's not like everyone knows what his real market value is. And so they can say whatever they want. Any GM who's trying to use the McDavid contract as like a case study or a thing, any sort of evidence to lowball a different player, I would be like, are you kidding me? You're using McDavid, who clearly left a ton of money on the table because he wants to win in Edmonton. Like, that's not a real contract to even use as a basis for any other negotiation. You could throw it out the window. It's not real. It doesn't matter. But kudos to Connor McDavid. I've talked about how I respect players that do this, how I kind of feel some sort of way towards players that refuse to, assuming they're already financially secure. And to that point, that is why I really thought there was a chance last summer that we could have got Stamkos, because I thought he would have been a great addition to the Devils, and I thought he would have signed for much less. But sure enough, he lost a lot of points in my book with that one. I've talked about this. He really did. He signed for basically max dollar with the Predators, which Tennessee is a income tax-free state. So it's like he signed for max money in a tax-free state. To me, screams, and with the Predators, screams you prioritized money over winning again, which is fine. But he already had plenty of money and cups. I thought he may be chasing another cup, but it turns out now that he has his cups, he was looking for the most money on the way out of the game, and that's what he did. So it is what it is. Devil having great balance of players, depth, hardworking men this year with mix of kids, nice balance. Traveling, if Luke turns out to be a top NHL D-man, his contract will age good. Yeah, I mean, even if he, I don't know, when you say top, I don't know how top people think, but he's going to be a very good defenseman, and he's going to put up a lot of points. And one day he will be the quarterback of Power Play 1. So, Pyro says if Luke's contract provides the runway for Quinn coming in, that's extra nice. And again, yeah, that is the big piece of getting Quinn here, was to, make sure Luke is here long-term. And now I think it's only a matter of time. Pyro says, I like your new setup, Ace. Love the figures. Thank you. I'm still I still might make some tweaks to it, but I had to get something up for now because, I was getting lambasted by Brian, just sending me all kinds of vitriol about how it was just looked like a homeless studio, and it did. And it went on for way too long. And so, again, thank you, Brian. I needed a little kick in the ass. John says, I like the new studio. Thank you, John. Woodson, runway for all three brothers injured at the same time. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Jesse, what's up? I truly hope we come out of the gate Thursday and make a statement. Let Carolina and the league know we are coming for the cup this year. Let's go, boys. Would love to see it. Would love to see this team come out just on a mission. Redemption for last season. Amagi, if Rags gets shut out on opening night debuting these jerseys, that'll be really deflating for those fans. Probably. Pyro, if you ever come into extra dollars, I'd love to see a figure of Devils Taz. Might make one or my art. What do you mean by that, Pyro? Oh, God, I'm super far behind here. Oh, Devil Heaven says, Maria, are you single? No, she's definitely not single. Happily married to a very nice gentleman. Yeah. Yeah, you guys are savages. My God. I'm so sorry you have to deal with this, Maria. These wild animals in YouTube chats. Gary says, need Eliash stuff. So, obviously, I love Patty. There's a lot of guys. Yeah, I don't know. I'll figure out a way. Maybe I'll start rotating pictures, but like, I don't need any more things in my life, guys. Like, this already takes up so much time and energy. But you are correct. Patty, there needs to be something Patty in here. I also misplaced something for now from the newer guys. Obviously, my studio is primarily slanted towards the glory years, as you all know. But if you look, there is the new guys or the current guys. The shelf here, the front row of bobbleheads are all current guys. We have Markey, Timo Meyer, Jack Hughes, and Dougie. I got to dig out my Bratter and Mercer bobbleheads and throw those in there. And then behind them, I have some of the older ones. But so the bobbleheads are the new guys. And then also, you can't really tell, but on the top shelf of the little case there, on top of the goalie mask, are Luke Hughes game-worn gloves from his first NHL game, which coincidentally, they have slight, that's cool. Obviously, Luke Hughes is going to be a big member of this team for years to come, but it also has a little bit more of a sentimental meaning to your boy because the Luke Hughes NHL debut was the start of this very channel, believe it or not. The first videos I ever posted on this channel were of Luke Hughes from his NHL debut. And so when I saw the gloves from that game, I thought, oh, that's pretty cool. I'd like to own those. And so those are up in the case there. Those black Bauer gloves, those are Luke Hughes' first NHL game gloves. The birth of the channel. Michael S. says, disappointed McDermott was traded, but glad he'll get a chance to play in Ottawa. Yeah, I gave my props to Curtis the other night. I mean, what a warrior. A lot of people, it is what it is. You can't please everybody. But he came to a physically, mentally, and emotionally broken team and galvanized the troops on the road in hostile territory, Madison Square Garden, and was the central character. And I guess in that scenario, because we were on the road, he was the super villain in a 5-on-5 opening face-off brawl that was absolute hockey theater. Hockey theater. If you go back and rewatch it, you hear the announcers talking about it, and it was like real dramatic. The ref standing there with the puck, and you see them talking back and forth. They're looking at each other. Then Rempe stands up very straight and tall. The whole building knows what's going on. The announcers are pumped for it. The other players are waiting to see what happens. And as soon as the puck drops, the boys drop the mitts, and then all of a sudden it just develops into a 5-on-5 fracas. What a legendary moment in Devils history. Yo, Holmes Ace, I'll be honest, I'm not too sure about this lineup. Dadonov, like Palat before him, is just not a first liner. The bottom six still appears meh to me. I mean, is it the greatest on paper in the planet? No, but if I'm being honest, Yo, Holmes, I do think Bratter and Jack are that good that, while it didn't necessarily pan out with Palat, I do think the right player that may not seem like a first liner could kind of rise to the occasion. And I'm hoping that's what happens with Dadonov. Because those guys are that good, I do think it creates the opportunity for Dadonov to look like he belongs there. And I'm hoping that happens. Now, if it doesn't, there's going to be other guys pushing for this spot. Obviously, the front runner at the moment you would think is Gritsyuk. But there's options. Michael Russell, smash the like for your boy. The season is approaching and I'm getting giddy. Let's get it, Ace. Thanks, Michael. Hit the thumbs up for your boy. Yo, Holmes says, I like Romanov. He played his balls off this season, preseason. Yeah. Another great PTO performance for the goalie. We'll see what happens if he gets a contract or not, but he played very well. Gary says, got to spread talent so all lines work. Yeah, this is what I was talking about with Gritsyuk. People are like, oh, he should be in the top 6. I would love to see it happen. But at the moment, the lines seemed very balanced where we're going to get scoring from all of these lines throughout the season. Now, I do think we will see some juggling at some point, but it would be nice to see lines that develop chemistry, can perform, and kind of stick together long term. We're going to see if all that happens. But it would be nice to get off to a hot start in Raleigh, the land of horrors. Husky Unchained says punching faces and collecting checks. Jared, what's going on? Hey, Ace, enjoying opening night hockey and catching your stream. Watching preseason was fun. Really like a lot of our young prospects. I've got good feelings about Gritsyuk this season. Yeah. Sky is the limit. Gritsyuk looks like the real deal. Again, I'm not going to get too ahead of myself. People have been pumping this kid's tires for years. We've seen it go both ways with guys coming over from the KHL, either just epic calamity stories or they come in and tear it up. I'm hoping Gritsyuk's a guy that adjusts to the North American system here and just dominates. But the skills are there. Speed, the shot. Seems like he can make some plays. I think him and Paulie are going to really do some damage for as long as they're together anyway. Woodson says we'll make the playoffs if Allen plays 60% of the games. Are you that down on Markey, Woodson? Jared says LaChance is going to be another good one. You guys know I love Shane LaChance. He's got that dog in him, and he is a big, big boy. Travelin says, I think Grits needs more ice time than the fourth line. Yeah, I mean, ideally you would like to see that, but as he, he's played, 5 preseason games, whatever it is. I think in time you're going to see him slowly get more ice time. But even on the fourth line, I am very interested to see if he gets power play time. I'd imagine at minimum he's going to see some looks on power play too. But with the group we have, there's tons of options. But I think, and I wouldn't even be surprised if Gritsyuk gets power play one time maybe at some point. I think it's all going to be kind of a work in progress under Sheldon Keefe this year. I think he's going to probably, if I had to guess, I don't know, maybe start Grits on power play 2 and see how it works. But I do think both power play units are going to be lethal for sure. Yo, Holmes, clearly the fourth line is not a checking line. Seems like the plan is to roll all 4 consistently. It certainly seems that way, Yo, Holmes. And I think that's a recipe for a contender. Devil Heaven says Woodson deserves a stone cold stunner or the rock bottom. And then Woodson says Devil Heaven wrestling is fake. Carson, the Canes fan. Mark my words, win or lose, I'll be here to give heat or take heat on Thursday. I will see you after the game, Carson. Hopefully it's very different than the last time we played. Chris Emerson, 35-35 for Gritsyuk, Meyer, and Mercer. I'll tell you this. If we get 35-35 on average out of the 3 of them, it would be a monster season. Carson says, if I could even be here. Oh, don't be discouraged by people fighting with you. That has nothing to do with me. Although there was that Canes fan that went crazy on me last year. I forget who. There was a woman that went completely ballistic on me. And I didn't even do anything. Louis says Eastern Conference Finals are bust. Completely agree. Woodson, Grit scores 30 this year, and we can't afford him with 4 overpaid D-men. Well, I'd imagine, Woodson, that I do think this will be the last season of Dougie, and I do think we'll trade him in the offseason. But it is going to be interesting to see what kind of season he has, what kind of money he's looking for after this year, because obviously Nemitz is going to have to be paid, and Paulie Cotter is going to be up for a contract as well. Reaper Crew Garage. Cots and Grits are going to get crazy matchup on fourth line and capitalize on other teams' fourth line mistakes. Yeah, hopefully. All right, I got to get way ahead here. Sorry, guys. I fell behind. I'm mumbling. Wooden says, Ace getting sucked in to drink the Kool-Aid as usual. What is the Kool-Aid? There's no Kool-Aid. I'm just calling it like it is. What I mean, I don't understand some of you people that want to wallow in misery and just bitch and complain. And the team's going to be so bad. How about this? Complain that the team sucks if and when they suck. How about that? I'm not going to sit here and be like, this team sucks. We haven't played a game yet. The team should be improved from last season. All I could do is watch this team and root them on and hope we win. I can't live in constant negativity like some of you people. It must be exhausting to be this negative all the time. And it's crazy that I'm telling people that they're overly negative because a lot of people think I'm overly negative. Now, I think I'm pretty fair. At times, that can be perceived as negativity, I'm sure. But in the end, I think I'm pretty fair. But some of you guys, it's just like no matter what, it's just like a constant dooming. All right, I'm trying to catch up here. We're super far behind on the timeline here. The mic has been the same. New studio mic, old problems? No, it's the same mic. The software seems solid. It's not a new mic. All right, I'm trying to get Paro says, John Woodson, bet proposal. If Devils go 3-7, I'll donate $40 to Ace. If Devils do better than that by an amount, you've got a voice reveal next call-in. Oh, boy. Amagi says, will the new pulled pork nachos injure me on opening night? Well, that's interesting. Michael says, Cotter hits too many people to be on the top 6. Well, why can't he be in the top 6 and hit people? Matt says, happy we signed Goaltending. Yeah, great PTO performance for him. And hopefully he could be an admirable 4C for us. I'm not sure why everyone wants to hear your voice, Woodson, but it is interesting. Yeah, the max percentage is 20%, Pyro. Yo, Holmes, Ace, God forbid one of our centers go down. Who you got as the next man up at center? Oh, boy. Well, it would be Lamico, but it would be Lamico for sure. But are you talking about like as of today with Lamico injured? It would probably be, let's see. If one of the centers go down, I feel like you then may see, instead of at the moment, because Lamico's not available, I do think when he's healthy, it will be him. But in some diabolical world where there's one that happens like in the opening night, I think in the meantime, you may see Mercer temporarily back at center or potentially Paul Cotter. I respect Connor. He didn't go to the Rangers and he's a team player. No, I've always liked Connor McDavid, and I've talked about this. When guys do stuff like that, Connor McDavid was already super high in my book, like in terms of my respect for him as a player. I like his skill set. He's a competitor, all that stuff. I know he cares about winning. But to sign that deal, those types of gestures go a long way with me personally. I look at that as like a major character kind of thing. And like, what a legend. What an absolute legend. If you're an Oilers fan, I mean, how much more can you love this guy? And he goes out and does that. Pyro says, Cotter to center with Hameenaho coming up. If one of our centers go down, maybe Mercer shuffled. Yeah, I just said that. I think you may see one of them moved there. But hopefully this is all a moot point and we do not see that happen. Top 3 horror movies from the 80s. Oh, boy. From the 80s, that one would be tough. Carson, Metro will finish as Canes 108 points, Devils 103, Rangers 98, Washington 96. Very interesting. Very interesting. I'm super behind, guys. Louis says Stamkos has already won. I don't blame him for wanting the money. Yeah, but the way it all ended in Tampa, and sorry, guys, I'm still super far behind, but that one I had to bite on for Louis. With the way it all ended in Tampa, it seemed like he just felt like a little burned by them. And I really thought that would be a motivating factor for him to try to win another cup in a different organization. But turns out it was just money, and he was like, screw you, I'm going to go get paid, which is fine. But Stammer was a legend. I mean, he still is a legend of the game. But he lost points in my book by doing what he did, signing with Nashville. I'm trying to catch up here. Pyro, I'd love to see a figure of a Taz Devils. Oh, I'd make one for myself. Are you like a sculptor, Pyro? Yo, Home says, Ace, I was at Luke's first game, bro. Let's go. Yeah, I mean, what a game. Fan appreciation night, the last home game of the 22-23 season. Jack broke Eliash's single season points record. Luke made his debut. It was a great night. They wore those insane fan appreciation warm-up jerseys designed by my man, Backhanded Devil. Absolutely beautiful jerseys. I'm going to see if I could somehow poke the organization into releasing merchandise with that logo. I mean, it was so insane. I don't know how they didn't do. They would have sold a ton of hoodies, T-shirts, everything. The jersey itself, what a great design by Backhanded Devil. It really was. Steven says, remember when the Devils used to give away 3 larger bobbleheads a year? Now we get 1 mini. Hopefully those come back. But yeah, even the old school bobbleheads are they're a good chunk bigger and just better quality and heavier, in my opinion. It is what it is, you know? Everything seems to be getting worse over time. And I hate to be that guy, but it does seem like everything was better back in the day. Almost everything. Jared, I do like the sign of Gritsyuk on a line with Jack and Brat. Grits is a sniper. Could you imagine some nice assists from Jack? Who are you going to double off of? Well, they did try it for, I think, a good chunk of the one preseason game, and it didn't pan out the way we were all hoping, but it was a very small sample size. I am hoping that, if we see it again, it looks better than it did the first time. But again, the first time they tried it. I think they did it in practice. They skated as a line in practice for a day or so as well. But I am, if Dadonov performs in that role, I'm fine with him there. People are quick to condemn it, and it's like, let it fail before you crap on it. And we haven't seen it in the regular season yet. So let's see how it goes. Maybe it works amazingly. Queens, New York guy says, calm down, chat. We put Grant Marshall on the top 6 with Eliash and Gomez in 03 and won a cup. Dadonov is way more offensive than Marshall. Oh, Grant Marshall. What a run in 03, man. I tell you what. Woodson says Markey has a high likelihood of getting hurt. Why is that? Tell me why he has a high likelihood of getting hurt. Because he got hurt last year on a weird play. Steven says John Woodson down on a player. Say it isn't so. I mean, can you believe that? I know it's a shocker. I know it's stunning news. Woodson says $15 million to resign or replace Markey, Nemitz, Cotter, and Grits. Woodson, I'm assuming you didn't calculate Dougie's money coming off in any of these scenarios. I haven't looked at the future numbers. I can't be bothered with that at the moment. But Markey, it seems like, is going to want about $5 million. Clearly, you're not getting those other 3 players for $10 million combined. But I do think you could make it work with, other moves. Anson says, have Woodson and SST been seen in the same room at the same time? They have. They have been. Or at least online. Not in the flesh. SJ says, we're going to lose a good player. Most likely, how do you pay everyone? Well, we're living in a cap world. There is a chance that they're not all going to make it to the end. but there are options. Derek says, nice to some game worn collection. I have Luke red jersey from debut year, used in playoffs, only one with 40th patch. Also have black set one from his Calder finalist year. Nice. Yeah, I have a ton of Devils game worn jerseys, Derek. I haven't shown many of them, but maybe I'll start. Been involved in it for a while, and it's addicting. You must have. Do you have like a collection page or anything, Derek? You collect everything. I know you have like some Nico. You have Nico stuff too, right? This guy comes just 2 Luke jerseys. Not a big deal. 4 Devils is too early for the Doomers to get to you. Ace. No, I don't care. I mean, listen, let them doom. I just think it's ridiculous to be dooming before we've played a regular season game. Like, you know, doom. I'm all for dooming when it's time to doom, but we're nowhere near that point at all whatsoever. M Sharp says, nice setup, Ace. You did it. Yeah, it took me long enough, right? Took way too long, but here we are. You might see some other little tweaks. I definitely need to tweak the lighting and stuff, but for now, I mean, I'm much happier looking at it than what we had the last appearance I had. Wooden says, tank for our 2032 cup window. Dude, do you really believe that's the window? Woodson, like 2032? I mean, I think that's just crazy. It is crazy. Queens, New York guy says, seems like our fans do more than the rest of the hockey world in regards to us. People want to see us win. I don't know if people want to see us win, but it seems like, you know, at least Tortorella was like in his head, you know, maybe this team finally gets over the hump and really competes. I mean, I'd rather someone pick us to win than no one pick us to win, but Torts, the fact that it was Torts is pretty damn funny. Woodson says, Nico cannot go down or we're done. Cooked, finished. We wouldn't win a face-off for the rest of the season. I don't think we're completely dead, but obviously losing Nico is painful. And every time we've lost him, we've seen the ripple effects of it. You know, face-offs, obviously a massive, massive problem without him in the lineup. Hopefully, again, Glendening could kind of lighten that load for him this season. But yeah, I mean, this whole team hopes are riding on relative health on the season. Ryder, I'm with you, Ace. The team looks good. They're exciting. We'll be fine. I have concerns, but can't drown in pessimism. Yeah, I mean, listen, I have concerns too. There's things I'd like to see. You know, would I like to see a legit bona fide top 6, big, nasty, physical scoring winger play with Jack and Bratter? Absolutely. And Dodonov dropped into the bottom 6? Yeah, that'd be great. But for the time being, it could be worse. And there are fans and GMs of other teams that would salivate to have the top 6 that we have right now. And so count your blessings. I did put on X the other day a photo of a roster. There was a roster or a lineup sheet from one of the dark seasons. From the 14-15 season. And hopefully this could help put it into perspective a little bit. I posted this on X and it seemed like people enjoyed it. This is a roster sheet from the 14-15 season. And just look at this roster. Now, while there's some decent names on here and there's decent players, in the end, when assessing this as a team, you have to think about where some of these guys were in their careers, you know, when analyzing it, right? So like some of these guys were definitely towards the end of their careers and weren't the guy that like even Gomez, right? Like number 21, Scotty Gomez on the Devils in 2015 is not the number 23 Gomer before he went to the Rangers. 2 totally different guys. Camilleri towards the end, Patty towards the end. You know, good players, and some people were like, oh, this team is pretty good. Like, what are you talking about? In the end, the results speak for themselves. The team had 78 points and finished 7th in the Metro. And so count your blessings, Devils fans. A decade later, our roster is much improved. And you got to just be somewhat realistic. Like, this is a bad lineup. This is a bad lineup. The Devils lineup is not bad. Now, is there some holes? I'll say for sure. When you look, is there some things you'd want to see improved? Yes. But the team is nowhere near what you're looking at on the screen from a decade ago. That is a very underwhelming roster. And the results showed it. Obviously, also of note, the coach there on the bottom, Scott Stevens, what a legend. It's unfortunate he had that. That was the team he was coaching. But it could be much worse, guys. And so I will remain optimistic. I love a lot of the elements of this team. I am hoping it all comes together and we finally take that next step this year. And I don't think that it's impossible. For all the people that are going to be super negative all the time, that's your prerogative. You're going to choose to be negative. I'm not one of those people, and I'm hoping for a massive season from this team. And I think it's very possible. Tasha said Fitz is currently carving meat off the bone with a Swiss jackknife. Oh, you guys are funny. Which jersey was that by Backhanded Devil? Oh, man. All right, hold on. The warm-up jersey, which was the sweetest jersey of all time. Oh, I didn't have these things handy, so now I just got to do a couple clicks. This is Backhanded Devil, the man that designed this insane jersey. This was the jersey they used for warm-ups for the Fan Appreciation Night, which happened to be the debut of Lukey Boy, the Luke Hughes NHL debut was in that jersey for warm-ups. They obviously didn't wear it in the game, but that's what they wore for warm-ups, and that was Luke's first game. Absolutely sick jersey. I think a massive lost opportunity by not, making these available for sale or at least doing merch with them. I think they could have sold a lot of units. But that's the jersey. And then we have... Yeah, I have this picture. Oh, shit. Hold on. I have this picture that I think is going to go in the studio. I just haven't been able to locate it as of yet. But this will be another representation of the current team, I believe. Again, back to the Luke Hughes debut game. Those gloves that he's wearing are the ones in the case right over here. The Luke Hughes debut, but beautiful, beautiful warm-up jerseys. And I will drop... check this out on X, too. This was a post the Devils put up about it back then, and it kind of gives you more info about the jersey. Yeah, and you see close-up pictures. So check out that link I just dropped in the chat. But an amazing, amazing design by Backhanded Devil, and they really should release hoodies or T-shirts or something with that logo because it was absolutely stunning. Beautiful, beautiful jersey. All right, let me find my place again. Every time Ace freezes like that, I think the stream froze. No, it's just my brain freezing. Yo, Holmes says, I was just thinking about those jerseys, bro. Those were great. The Hispanic heritage jerseys from a few years ago. I remember them. There being some cool... I don't remember which ones are which, but there has been some really awesome warm-up jerseys over the years. It is a shame that the league got rid of that. Would like to see it come back, but it seems like it's probably dead and gone. Now they still auction them off, but like the players either wear them like walking in or hold them up, which I think is corny. Like nothing for nothing. I want to see them worn in warm-ups on the ice. Otherwise, it's just like, I don't know, it just feels super lame to me. Ryder says, Grits will be better with Nico. They will cover his mistakes and he can fly with them. He doesn't know what Jack and Brad are doing yet. Yeah, I think when you're playing with guys like that, there's always going to be an adjustment period. And I don't think he had enough time to really develop chemistry with them yet. And maybe we will see it at some point. Yo, Holmes says Grant Marshall was a man, a real man. Stick figs, whatever the next jersey is, I need the state of New Jersey somewhere on it. Yeah, that would be a cool kind of element to be added. Wow, Tasha says, I can't lie. I despise those jerseys with the NJ state on them. Ugliest things. Wow. Louis says, Woodson wants any excuses to be mad, so he's mad at Markstrom for injuries he hasn't even gotten yet. Yeah, it's wild, right? It's pretty wild. Woodson says, butterfly goalie age 35 plus is why we have Allen. Jay Snow says, I'm not a big fan of the Dadonov Jack Bratt line. Let's wait to see it in action, guys. I mean, yeah, on paper, would you like them to have a better winger? Yeah, but, I mean, come on. Stickfix says, as much as I love Cotter and Grits, sure, move Grits up and down, send him to Utica, but he is not to leave the organization. I don't care if his plus minus is minus 1 million. He's too damn wholesome to let it walk. Oh, Stickfigs must be falling in love with the Telegram posts. Gritsyuk does post some great stuff on Telegram, kind of about his, day-to-day life in hockey stuff and beyond. Woodson says, we didn't get a much-needed top six. Why would we think we could score more this year? Simply because the bottom six will produce something, Woodson. Something is better than nothing. Last year, it was absolutely nothing. This year, you're going to get something out of that bottom six. How is it the bottom six not going to be better? Do you really think it's not going to be better, Woodson, in terms of production? Oh, man, I fell behind again. Woodson says, I'm not trolling. I'm just preparing everyone for reality. Come on. Man, I don't know how some of you guys live a life of such negativity. It's like a full-time job. Woodson says we have 0 board warriors. I mean, are you talking about on the whole team or just the top six? Woodson says we win or lose by what we do on the power play. Yeah, I mean, listen, 5-on-5 scoring has been a problem. Hopefully it improves this season. I think a lot of things are going to improve as a function of the bottom six actually scoring goals once in a while. They didn't do it last year. I think this year you're going to see it. But yeah, obviously, last year was a season largely of living and dying on the power play. It can't be the case this year. They're going to have to generate at even strength. And with the bottom six that can actually score goals, I think it's going to be a much better situation. Ovechkin is available next season as a top six winger. I can't see him ever leaving, but my God, anytime there's a chance to get a legend like that, obviously I'd be all for it, but that's not, we're just talking about fairy tale stuff. Yo, Holmes says, Woodson, name one thing you like about this team. I'll wait. Woodson says, I liked Erica when she was here. Not even about the team. Frank, Rutu and Tutu on the same team, broadcaster's nightmare. Oh, shout out to whoever sent me on X. There's a really funny YouTube clip of Yager while he was on the Devils talking about Rutu and Tutu. Very funny clip. Woodson says, Nico is the only player I have faith in on this team from last year. The only player, huh? Carson said, I hate the Devils in a way, but I have respect for them. I would hate them more if they weren't our punching bag. Oh, isn't that nice? So nice of you. Stickfix says, the next alternate can be the backhanded warm-up with some added flair, and I'd be happy. We cannot let that design only be used once. I mean, listen, I'm not even pushing for it to be the alternate. Just release some merch with that main logo. And if you guys click on that link that I put on X, inside the state crest, he had a bunch of like kind of sayings or phrases that were pertinent to Devils history from throughout the years. So it's like Marty's better, parking lot parade, stuff like that. A lot of really good little Devils history nuggets contained in the text within the crest. SST said that team got 78 points and much better team 10 years later only got 91 points improvement. Oh boy. Oh boy. The negativity doesn't end ever. Ever. SJ says, I predict Canes versus Devils part 3 in the playoffs. I certainly hope that doesn't I mean, I would love to knock them out, but I would prefer someone else to just knock them out. That'd be great. Woodson says New Jersey is second to the worst state in the nation. Oh, my God. Oh, boy. Eliash Engel, the bread and butter of the season is health and consistency at the end of the season. Everything has to fit, and it sucks, but that's how the game goes sometimes. Yeah, as long as this team stays relatively healthy, I like our chances, and especially if we add a piece at the deadline. John Sumner Ace, I saw a hockey podcaster pick our Devs to go to the finals against Dallas. Yeah, Torts picked us to win the cup. Stickfix says, Woodson, you're not even a doomer. You're just a straight-up hater now. Steven, Jack signed my ticket to the Devils Canucks from 2019 and inscribed it first NHL goal. Very nice. Very, very nice. Moggy said, I have a friend that must have paid out of the nose for the Hockey Fights Cancer jersey that Kobe walked out with. And I'm like, man, he didn't even wear it, let alone even take to the ice to it. Yeah. All the specialty auctions go crazy. Woodson misses the old days like many of us. Obviously, I do too. Jared, I wish we could get the new black alternate, something like those old starter jerseys. Yeah, I've talked about that forever. The black starter jersey is one of my favorites, and I think it'd be a perfect alternate. I'd even accept slight modifications or additions to it. But in the end, it's basically near perfect, and I've loved it ever since it was released, 30 or so years ago. Ryder says, sucks being older than 40 and pissed off. Huh? Whoa. Take it easy on the old men, Ryder. I mean, just if you're, 40 ain't dead. 40's not dead. Oh, man. Michael, what's going on? I don't know what Keefe is doing in these line combos. They have combined for 0 regular season points so far. Fire everyone. Gen Pop shooters for life. Yo. Man, I thought about this is so terrible. And I'm not trying to sound like bougie or anything, but I thought about making myself a red Devils jumpsuit for the next game that I'm in Gen Pop. And I was going to wear this just red Devils jumpsuit in Gen Pop. Woodson said Cali is nice if you have millions. I think everywhere is nice if you have millions, Woodson. Millions makes life much easier and happier. Tasha said, worst state is one without a hockey team. I completely agree with that. You guys are talking about HOA. World's worst neighbor is Woodson, probably HOA president. Oh, man. He's on an HOA board. Everyone hated on the HOA board, huh? Woodson is the HOA board. Tasha's just hating on the logo. I don't know why. You don't have to buy it. Jersey Roots, AO, Paisan, and all the other Dirty Devil Barbarians. What's that? What merch are we rolling with this year? What does that mean, Woodson? What merch we're rolling with this year? I'm not sure what that means. Husky, this is a prove-it year for Fitz to make needed moves during the season. Prove-it year for Jack's durability, and prove-it year for Keefe to go deeper in the playoffs. Fingers crossed. Yeah, obviously the inactivity of Fitz in the past couple seasons has been something I've complained about that really irked me. Obviously, 23-24, we needed goaltending desperately. He waited till deadline day and got Kakinen and Jake Allen before he basically told the world that we didn't want Kakinen and we just got him to dump Vanacek, which I thought was kind of strange. But yeah, I thought that was addressed way too late. The season was pretty much over. And then last year, I just thought the underwhelming deadline was just a travesty. I thought, the team could have been improved and tried to push for something. But, it is what it is. Hopefully this year the team is good and it motivates Fitz to make it even better and we see a meaningful in-season move. I would love to see it. Stickfix says, Ace, can you teach us youngins what a parking lot parade is? Is that a continental thing we wouldn't know about? So the parking lot parade is at the old arena after the Cups because we played in the Meadowlands and there was no real, I guess, like town or place that made sense, city or whatever, city route to have a parade. We basically had a parking lot parade where the team, actually, I don't even remember if they did it in the other years, maybe just in 95, but in 95, they actually drove cars like around the parking lot and then they all came to a stage. I think in 2000 and 2003, I don't even know if they did the car thing anymore and they just came out on the stage. But either way, basically a huge celebration for winning the cup in the parking lot of the arena, and they were glorious. You could find some clips of those online as well. Nico, sup, Ace? Have you been watching today's games? Penguins, Rags is a snooze fest. Both teams look rough. I have not watched any of it. I was putting the finishing touches on the studio and then doing some other kind of life missions, but I'll definitely be checking out the network later to see the highlights. Yo Holmes says Black Starter was classic OG Black. Oh, now I have to grab it for the people that don't know. Hold on 1 second. I have one handy. The most beautiful jersey in the history of jerseys. Of course, it's not like right here. I'm going to end up killing myself in the studio. I have stuff all over the place right now. This is the most beautiful Devils jersey maybe ever made. You got the stripe on the bottom, the old school stripe. Just beautiful, clean. Just the most beautiful Devils jersey, just nice and basic. I would love to see this exact. I'll take this exact jersey as the alternate, or I would even take some modifications. But I think the thick old school stripe is a nice touch. Would love to see that left. I would accept maybe the jersey from the jersey, like maybe the jersey logo on the shoulders, maybe, or some other little touches like that. But in the end, this is damn near perfect. This is as close to perfection as it gets, I think. Pretty close to a perfect jersey. Would love to see something very similar as the alternate. Jack says 40 is the new 23. Is that what they're saying? It certainly doesn't feel that way, but I could see how some people could think that. You guys are still fighting in the chat. Can we just have a season where everyone gets along? Is it possible? Can't we all just get along? Is it possible? M Sharp says, Ace, how early should I show up for the opening night game? Any pregame action? That is a great question, M Sharp. I would say show up as early as you want. Usually, I think it's at around 4 o'clock on opening night. The past, I don't know how many years, but the past several years, they've done a red carpet event, which is pretty cool. They have this whole thing set up outside with a red carpet, and the players get driven up and they walk out and they walk on the red carpet, and they're all wearing. Oh, wait, that's interesting. Now, I just remembered, because the dress code changed. Are some of them going to be walking around the red carpet in T-shirts? Are they all going to get suited up? Ooh, very interesting. What are they going to show up on the red carpet with? But they come in a few players at a time. They walk the red carpet, cheese it up with all the fans there. Most of the guys sign a bunch of stuff. They take photos. They're not there for that long each. A couple minutes. They walk up and down, and it's kind of a pandemonium thing, but very fun. Love the red carpet. And then they're going to have the little fan fest stuff outside, which is not, that I think could be improved some, but they'll have probably like a little hockey game set up for the kids, maybe cornhole. They'll probably have a band. They'll be selling beverages, adult beverages outside. And so there's definitely stuff to do. Hopefully we get some nice weather. It has been super nice in New Jersey. Yesterday was like a summer day in October, and today was a pretty nice day as well. So hopefully it's not, it's not going to be super cold, but hopefully we get a nice weather day. But there is a lot of pregame festivities. So I would say get there as early as you can, M Sharp. You will be entertained. You will be entertained. M Sharp says Ace picking on us Gen Pops now. No, but it was a scarring experience. But inevitably I'm going to return there at some. Oh boy. Yep. There we go. I told you I'm going to break something or kill myself in here. Yep. Something just fell in the corner. Hopefully nothing broke. Gen Pop crew forever. Louis says Tasha is a Jersey fan. LOL. Puke Jersey. I hate it. I hated it when it first came out. It grew on me a little bit over time. I still don't like it. But I do think if a couple things were tweaked on that, it had potential. But I do like the Jersey logo. So what I'm saying is, and I also love, I'm going to do a whole video on this about jerseys, because it's just kind of been on the back burner with all the season stuff coming up. But you look for that maybe the next week or two. Oh, no. Oh, I just hit a cord. I think this jersey with the Jersey script, spelled out Jersey on the shoulder or something, could be very interesting and cool. And also for you old school fans that remember the Devil's Den logo of the skating devil with the pitchfork thing. Oh, let me see if I could find it now. That would be an amazing shoulder patch as well. I always wanted that to be a shoulder patch. Let's see. I thought I had a pick one of the things handy. I can't easily find a photo of it, but there was a skating devil. I guess this is. So this is part of it. It's going to be hard to see, but this I always thought was an amazing logo. Here, I'm going to pull it up. This would make an amazing shoulder patch or add it on somewhere. But you see the skating devil. Always thought that would be a great, and I think they had some other sort of logo with that figure that a lot of people all were like, that would be an amazing, either standalone third logo or, as an extra patch or something. But a black jersey with something from this Devil's Den guy would be sick. Again, I do like the jersey script I don't really want that as the main crest. I always want the full Devils logo. I mean, I do believe, and it's not just being biased, I do think the New Jersey Devils logo is one of the greatest logos in all of pro sports. And I always want that to be on the jersey. I don't want to see them ever go away from that, but I will accept the shoulder patches or whatever. I'm trying to catch up here. Woodson says Nemitz will be the breakout player of the year. That would be a great story, and it'll probably cost us a lot of money. Oh, wait, now I'm trying to hold on. Hold on, guys. I fell behind. Woodson's talking about the John NJ Devils 45. What's going on? What's up, Ace and Devils Nation? Let's stay healthy and kick some ass. Jersey is great. Taxes suck. Brutal. As the American people, we are heavily taxed, overtaxed. Lower the damn taxes, somebody. Who do we got to talk to about this? Taxes on everything. You take taxes, you pay taxes. Tasha said Jersey is great. Great food. SSD is crying. Jared, do you think this will be an up year for Nemitz after getting some confidence back in the playoffs? Yeah, so I kind of went out of order here. I do think after that up and down year he had last year, he showed out in the playoffs. I think now we even saw it the other night. He made that horrible mistake against the Rangers, but he didn't let it, melt him down. He came back and rebounded from it. I think it's going to be a big year for him. Yo, Holmes, here we go. Black starter time. Jared says, I always wanted one of those starter jerseys. Lucky. The most beautiful Devils jersey I think I've ever seen. It's pretty much perfect. That is a nice jersey. Thank you. That jersey's so tight. Stellar jersey. That jersey's beautiful. Collect records. That's what's up. Had one way back. Yeah. It should have been the alternate, but they can kind of use most of it for this year or next year rather. Stick Figs. That's an old jersey for an old man. Oh, zing. Got the zingers tonight, Stick Figs. It is an old jersey for an old man. John NJ Devils 45 studio looks good. Ace, put some sticks in there. Thanks. I thought about it, but the sticks are kind of hard to, I don't know. They're hard to display. I thought about doing no stuff on the walls and just going with all sticks, but I don't know. I was playing with it a bunch, and then I got very sidetracked and caught up in the looking at all the shit. And I was going to just do all sticks with like some shelves with gloves and helmets and stuff. And then I was like, I'm just going to do, for now, kind of in the same format as last go around. But hopefully one day when I get the long-term studio will look much better and different. But for now, this is where we're at. Nico is King says Marty and the graphic designers had a layup with that starter jersey and still messed it up. I'm sure I don't know. Lou apparently hated that jersey. It was made as just like a fashion jersey by Starter. The team obviously never wore it. It was just sold at retail. And I think even it being sold in stores, I heard stories that like Lou tried to kibosh it. Lou was very much against all that stuff. Husky Unchained, my black starters kitted out with Eliash, the 25th year patch, and the captaincy. Get loads of comps on it. Looks sick AF. That's definitely a 1 of 1 for sure. Usually I always look at the games. I feel like at most games I might see 1 or 2 people with the black starter. There's still some, and coincidentally, I think I've seen some kids wearing it that are way young. Like it must have been like their father's jersey or something, because those originally came out in the late 90s, I believe. And so I've seen like, 18, 20-year-old kids wearing them at games. Probably got them from a parent. More fighting in the chat. Oh, boy. Can you kids play nice? World's worst gamer for sure. Jersey is something I've accepted that fans from New Jersey want and won't complain about further. I'll never get it, though, not from Jersey. Yeah, the Skating Devil is insane. What a great logo. It's a shame that never appeared on anything. Amagi says, no jersey slander allowed. Woodson says, when is the camera going to overheat? Oh, you're a funny guy, Woodson. You're a real funny guy. Real funny guy. The devil skating would be neat for sure. Traveling said, I tried to pull you from the dark side, but the beanie was made of polyester and you didn't like it. Oh, man. Yeah, SST will complain about anything. Traveling Devil gifted him one of the heavier, edgier, more violent beanies, and he somehow found a way to talk smack about the beanie, and then I believe got into an argument with Traveling Devil after the kind gesture. Only SST. Wooden said, what's the goal song going to be this year? It can't be the same. It's shameful. I'm pretty sure it's going to be the same goal song. I don't love it, but, you know, you guys all know what I want to be the goal song. It doesn't seem like it'll ever happen, despite other teams using it still, I believe. Ryder said, Woodson, did you run out of things on the roster to complain about and move to goal songs? It certainly seems like that. Oh, and then I also forgot, which I thought was interesting. Amagi says, I want to get Niedermeyer on my black starter. That's an interesting pick. If I was ever to, I think that's one that I would prefer just for me personally to keep blank. But if I was to ever put a player on it, it would have to be one of the guys that was on the team during that era. I mean, that's just me being a psycho, and I'm very like detail oriented and you know, factually correct with stuff like that. But Niedermeyer was definitely on the team at that time. M Sharp, they changed light show and music yearly though, right? Not the goal song, but they will. There is a new package, you know, for the videos and the opening, and they did get, I think they did get some new displays and stuff throughout the arena. So, you know, the in-game production does change a good bit from year to year, but as far as music goes, the goal song, I believe, will not be changed. But you may hear different songs, you know, mixed in, you know, during the game at TV timeouts or whatever, in between shifts, when they do their little contest and video clips on the screen. But another thing I thought was interesting before I forget, I used to be a degenerate gambler on sports before it was legal. Believe it or not, sports gambling, I don't know, call it what, 10 years ago it became legal? I can't remember. Maybe more recently, but something that was considered so taboo for years is now like literally jammed down your throat at every turn, at every arena, every broadcast. But and I'll place little bets here and there. I was much more into it when I was younger, but I had to look at some future bets for the Devils on this season. And we look on the left column here. Devils heavily favored to make the playoffs, minus 330. And what that means is I just used a $100 bet as a thing because I know a lot of people are not really well versed in betting terminology and stuff. So I kind of just put the $100 in there as a thing to show for every level. So the Devils heavily favored to make the playoffs, a betting line of minus 330, which means you bet $100 to win $30 if you want to say the Devils will make the playoffs. You put up 100 to win 30. The total points is 99.5 for the Devils. So if they get 100 points, you would win. If you take the over and they get 100 points, you would win. If you took the over and they got 99 points or less, you would lose. So the total 99.5 as even money. So you would bet $100 on that to win $90.91. And then the Devils, a 3-1 plus 300 odds to win the Metropolitan Division. So a $100 wager wins you $300. And then we go to the Eastern Conference. Devils plus 650. Put up $100 to win $650. And then obviously the Stanley Cup. Devils, at the time I clipped this, which was either last night or this morning, I forget. And these are live odds, so they could go up and down. And they fluctuate at any given time. But at the time I grabbed this, it was plus 1,400 for the Devils to win the Cup. You wager $100 to win 1,400. I thought that was, you know, those are some interesting betting lines for those of you interested in that sort of thing. But I thought that was interesting. I would have expected, it's just Vegas odds are never, I don't know. It seems like a lot of these futures are never good value. Like, I feel like the Devils could win the cup, but I'll probably still put something on it. But I feel like it should be more than 14-1. I don't know. But yeah, those are some betting odds. I thought those were interesting. And Woodson says, I missed the web imaging screen. What a funny guy. This guy's jinxing me over here. I'm losing my jinx skills. Devils are going to roll. Husky says, I'm going to miss Holla's goal song. That was a pretty nice graphic and song for sure. I will miss it as well. Holla joins the dearly departed with a new start in Nashville, and good luck to him. Hopefully he could kind of find a resurgence there. Jay Snow, what goal song do you want? Oh, Rock and Roll Part 2, man. The goal song from the glory years. And yes, I certainly would like to institute almost everything from the glory years, just because it was pinnacle life and pinnacle Devils fandom. For those that lived it, congratulations, guys. We really were fortunate. But Rock and Roll Part 2 was a phenomenal goal song, and would love to see it brought back. I don't think it will happen, but I would love to see it. Louis NJ, I do wish they would change the music they play during stoppages. I'm so tired of the Make Some Noise and My Own Worst Enemy being played. Well, some of them, it seems like they're kind of going to be reused no matter what. The Make Some Noise is always going to be a thing. But maybe they'll play some new stuff. For Devil, I was a big fan of the game entrance music. I did like that. That was a good one. But obviously, Seek and Destroy is a good one coming out for the period. Hell's Bells, like those are classics that'll never go old. Never get old, rather. So they should always keep those in the rotation. Obviously, Running with the Devil, Van Halen, a classic. The namesake of this very channel, my friends. Amagi, part of my plan to have one of each retired number. I have Stadium Series 2004 Patty. Planned Hall of Fame game, Scotty. What does that mean? What's planned Hall of Fame game, Scotty? 95 Danico and 2 All-Star game Marty, so the black starter needs to be the last for my formation. Very nice. John Face says, no matter what they will change it to, we will find a way to sneak You Suck into the song. One of the things I hate the most about like modern Devils, I don't know what you want to call it, culture or fans or whatever. I just think the You Suck thing is like so juvenile and stupid and so cringe. And the reality is it's never going to go away, which is unfortunate. Like, we could be down 5-0 and we score a goal in the third period and then you chant You Suck. Like, have some situational awareness. We're chanting You Suck and we're getting killed. Tasha said, let's not forget SST said Luke wouldn't sign once upon a time. Yeah, that was after he originally guessed, I think, that he would sign for $4 million. John Fay, I feel like we should bring back the Seven Nation Army goal song for one game. Was that a goal song? World's Worst Gamer Woodson, I'd be there right now, but they raised the minimum at the blackjack table at our casino years ago. 15 minimum sucks. I liked the 5. I missed the 5. Man, I haven't played blackjack in forever. SJ says betting sucks. You lose pretty much every time. I guess it depends what you're betting on. Oh, shit. I lost my... Woodson says, blackjack is the literal devil, but so much fun. Derek, you would think teams like the Devils, Sabres, Oilers with multiple first overall picks will win a cup in their window. You would think. You certainly would think. I do hope that we... trade all of our first-round picks away for the foreseeable future. I have zero interest in drafting a first-round pick for the next 5 years. Trade them all. Winning teams do this. They trade away their first-round picks because they don't care about future players of the future. They are making a push to win now, and cashing in first-round picks for immediate help is a great way to go about that. Louis says, Sweetness by Jimmy Eat World is a great goal song. It doesn't have a connection to if I'm being honest, like the guy doesn't own the copyright anymore or whatever. He can't get royalties on it. Like, I don't really care about that stuff, to be honest. Like, I think you have to separate the human from the artist. And it's a classic goal song, and I believe it's used in other places. So I understand when people want to be like, oh, he did all these, it's unfortunate, but you're not contributing to him financially. So just like play the song. We're not promoting the things that he did. Obviously terrible things if he was convicted. I haven't really even looked into it, but I believe he was in jail maybe. I don't know. But either way, I don't think that's a reason not to play the song. Collect Records as an 80s dirtbag. I'm all for any goal song by DLR era Van Halen. M. Sharp says, Tasha, representing the younger fans, what music would you like? Zach agrees the You Suck chant is so cringe. I hate it. I totally hate it. But it's never going away. It's never going away. Tasha said one of my favorite songs is Seek and Destroy. The You Suck chant is definitely cringy at times. It's terrible. It's terrible. I hate it so much. If I could like snap my fingers and make one thing disappear, that would certainly be one of them. Because it's just bad. I'm glad a lot of you are on board, but a lot of you in here are probably, I've never yelled it once in my life. The first time I heard it, I was like, this is so stupid. I love the Nashville. It's all your fault. Pulp Mystic. I couldn't agree with you more about the You Suck chance. It's embarrassing. Yeah, it's brutal. Amagi, I have a patch of the Hockey Hall of Fame game that Scotty was there for. The patch with the red and blue hockey dudes on it. Wanted something different instead of the typical cup patches. I think I know what you're talking about. Send me a picture of what you're talking about, Amagi. I'm curious. I think I know, but I'm not going to. Woodson said, new drinking game. Every time Ace says he lost his spot, we take a shot. Wait, Woodson, where do you live again, Woodson? I can't remember. I need to make like a chart to keep all these details kind of straight. Traveling Devil says, You suck is the dumbest goal song. The Devils are down 4 goals and score 1. Then they play the song and you're supposed to say you suck to the team that's beating them. Well, these people have done it. Collect Records. We need to make bootleg shirts with the Skating Devil artwork. The Skating Devil is phenomenal. The Devil's Den logo, I mean, what a beautiful logo. Jersey Roots, like and subscribe, all you filthy animals. Appreciate that, Jersey. Hit the thumbs up for your boy. Oh, why? Why? World's Worst Gamer for sure says, oh, hell yeah. Trade anything and everything to get better at this point. Clearly, we should be all in. I couldn't agree more. I feel like the window is wide open. It will close quicker than many people will realize. But they should treat the next 5 years of Jack. Jack's here for 5 more years. They should treat that as like, this is the ultimate window to win the next 5 years. And so I'm all about trading all the first round picks for immediate help. Jay Snow, draft picks mean nothing if you don't hit on them. Yeah, and I also, not to beat a dead horse, but like think about some of the first round draft picks we've had in recent years, even high ones. Alex Holtz. That's a high first round pick. And when you start talking about mid or late round, late first round picks, Chase Stillman. I mean, the list goes on, and for every team, tons of people have been drafted in the first round that don't do anything. And so I understand a lot of the fans here even have an obsession with, and it seems like newer fans, but I'm not going to say it's exclusively newer fans that obsess over stockpiling draft picks and prospects and talking about how bright the future is and all these things, and never focus on winning what's right in front of you and winning now. This team is pretty damn good. I'm not going to say they're a cup favorite, but again, with health and a couple other things going their way, they can be a legit cup contender. And so bolstering the lineup, a top 6 guy added, maybe a 3C, whatever it is, we could be very close to true cup contention. And that is why, for me, this is a true win now window, and you must start making win now moves. And I think trading first round picks for immediate help is one of the best ways to use those picks. But there's a group of people that are just obsessed with stockpiling assets, and we have prospects and we have all these things. And in the end, it doesn't help you do a damn thing today. These are all things to, future is bright stuff. Larry says, having had 30 years experience working in the casino industry, best bet is don't gamble. I mean, yeah, gambling is like a drug for a lot of people. Jersey Root says, casinos are a scam. The house always wins. In the long run, they do, but there are people that are win, on a small basis. World's worst gamer, Mouse, just scooted across the room while talking Devils hockey. Is this an omen? Do we have a Mickey Mouse season coming? I don't expect so, but damn, I hope not. Woodson said, honestly, we should play a T Swift song for the goal song to appease our fan base and sell more tickets. What? Faye said, I think it was the 2013-14 season, but I'm not sure. Okay. Woodson said, we need to trade Dougie at the deadline for a top 6 to be an Eastern Conference final contender. That's the only way we have a chance. I have to disagree. I don't think that's the only way we have a chance. Could that be a potential scenario? Yes. But I will also say that I think if we are chugging along well going up to the deadline, the last thing I personally would want to do is tinker with that by moving Dougie before the playoffs. I'm sorry. I understand there'll be a large portion of people that will be tempted by your exact scenario, Woodson, to trade Dougie at the deadline for a top 6. But that could certainly sort of backfire and be a case of, 1 step forward and 2 steps back. If moving on from Dougie at the deadline results in the defense regressing, I think that's a net massive loss for the team. Now, I could be totally wrong, but for me, I would much prefer to wait until after the season to explore dealing him, because I do think you are a much better team with Dougie than without. Now, I guess, is there a world where it's like Luke looks so out of this world and with all of our defensive depth that we're convinced we could move on from Dougie at the deadline and not feel it? Then maybe, but it'll be hard. It'll be a hard sale for me to ever believe that we are going to be a better team overall going into the playoffs without Dougie than with him. Even with the top 6 in that hypothetical top 6 forward trade. Jesse, I missed a big chunk of the 2000s because life and my first live game back when everyone chanted, you suck. I had no idea what was going on. It felt like a stupid small market team trying to be trendy. I could totally see that. I'm not a fan of it. The first time I ever heard it, I was like, this is ridiculous. Unhinged Devs fan, I am behind. I like you suck chant in the chant, but only when appropriate, though. I do like when they play my own worst enemy. Hard to top rock and roll part 2. Yeah, you can't. You can't top it. It's great. Unhinged Devs fan, Seek and Destroy is a great choice. So is DLR era Van Halen. DLR being David Lee Roth. I need some direction on new website for sailing the seas on games I can't get on ESPN. I'm sure there's someone here that could help you with that. Woodson said, teams like draft picks and trades, I want a whole bag full of them. Oh, yeah. I always said I value having picks so that I could trade them to teams looking for them. But in terms of drafting with the pick, I personally have no interest in the foreseeable future. Ava says, I heard Mark Sanchez is going to be the new Flyers pro scout. I've been meaning to look more into that story. Pretty bizarre story. Mark Sanchez beating up the old guy before he gets stabbed. Yo Holmes says, Devils used to be great in-game bets. Wait for the Devils to go down 1-0 like we always do, then bet the Devils to win. Jason said, what's that cap space even going to look like at the deadline? Oh, there's so many variables leading up to that. That's impossible to predict now, Snow. Is anyone traded before then? There's so many different scenarios. Woodson said, I'm drinking Coke Zero. We have the almighty Luke on defense. No need for Dougie with his cooked slapper. You might see it return. I wouldn't write him off just yet. Unhinged Devs fan says, Hughes fandom is kind of swift crowd. I'm not a giant Hughes fan, possibly overrated and overpay, but I like when they do good for us. Crest on the front, not the name of the back. Always crest on the front, but I'm going to always root for the kids. I think they both have extremely high level of skill, and they both can be a big part of a cup-winning team. Now, we need to make sure we have the right players around them, and I do like this group so far. I would like one or two other additions as the season goes on, but I do like our opening night lineup. Jesse, if it wasn't for Ace constantly throwing up Woodson's crying, I forgot how much he drowns in his own tears about everything since I blocked him. Oh, boy. Woodson said, if you get a second-line center or winger for Dougie at the deadline, you do it. I don't think it's that simple, but I understand why you're saying that. I do. I'm not going to say, there's certain things that I think are just kind of like cut and dry. This is pretty much what it is, and there is no other kind of interpretation, at least for me, with some stuff. This is not one of those issues, because I could make the arguments that Woodson's making as well, but in this particular one, I would need to see a whole lot of things happen before I was comfortable with trading Dougie at the deadline. Again, assuming the team's looking good and everything's going well, because that could be a huge disruption heading into the playoffs and kind of throw everything off. I don't know. I'd be very skittish on it. I'm not going to say I definitely wouldn't do it, but I would need to see a lot of evidence and a lot of other guys. Luke obviously would have to be great. I would want to have no concerns about Nemitz whatsoever. I would want to make sure that, I guess at that point, that Kovacevic looked fully healthy and there was no worry about him. And then I would obviously always entertain anything. But at the moment, for me, I just think you wait till next offseason. John Fay had a nice wrister in preseason. Larry, the Devils just had a promo pic with the word foundation on it. Notice that Luke replaced Dougie in it. I saw that photo. It was the core four with Luke, right? I think that's what it was. Let me double check. Yeah, it's the core four. Jackie Boy, Bratter, Nico, Timo, and then Luke added as the fifth. Alan, Ace, something I really don't understand. Why do players like Pavel Zacha and Jesper Boquist cannot even suit up for the Devils, can fit in other teams' lineups without problems? I mean, that's a little bit of twofold, Alan. Number one is opportunity. When you get to, Zacha was playing with freaking Pasta for a while. And obviously age and development. Like, Boquist has way more experience in the league now than he did when he was on the Devils, and probably getting better line mates as well. When Boquist was here, there was a lot of kind of like Sharon Govich and stuff. Let me see. There was just guys that kind of forced him down the depth chart, and he just couldn't really separate himself. It's a lot of timing in this league with the way guys' careers kind of go in terms of what teams they play for. If Boquist and Zacha were here in different eras, they probably would have had a much better kind of situation for themselves personally. But you'll see this a lot where guys will leave. I mean, you could even make the case, even a guy like Zetterlund, right? You go to another team, you have more experience, and you get more minutes and better opportunity. And as a result, you look better. I can never, for guys like that, I can never look back and be like, oh, we let them slip through our fingers and stuff, because you can't keep everybody forever. It is what it is. And at the time, it just, they weren't part of the plans going forward. But they are two guys that you're like, damn, it would be nice to have either one of them right now, right? For sure. Wooden said Ace is really saying no to McCann Tuck for Dougie. No, I'm definitely not saying no. I'm also definitely not saying yes. Those are, I definitely consider it. I think Tuck, I would be more inclined to kind of jump at it, but I like McCann too. I can't answer it. I need to see how the season goes leading up to that. So, but it's not a definitive no, and it's definitely not a definitive yes, Woodson. I would need to see those other things before I could give a a true answer on that. He knows Luke and Nemitz aren't ready for playoff hockey yet. Are you talking about me? I just like to have more experience, man, especially for the playoffs, and that would be a young defense. Luke, Nemitz, and then depending, I mean, there is a possibility that with some injuries, the thing that would scare me is, not scare me, but I'd be very cautious if our playoff D somehow had Luke, Nemitz, who I think are definites, and then a guy like Casey, say, right? Like, I like Casey, but that's 3 fairly inexperienced defenders as part of your D core. That could be problematic come playoff time. There's something to be said for having the veteran like Dougie back there, and who does a lot of things well. He has value. As much as people want to, take shots and whatever, Dougie is a good hockey player. World Wars Gamer says Boquist was not a piece we needed at the time. We were not contending. As for Zaka, he should have been put on the wing and left there, but never happened. Woodson says Casey and Dougie are gone. That's interesting. More fighting in the chat. Zach is not a stud. No, but you'd be crazy if you wouldn't take him as our 3C, Snow. Woodson says, I trust Nemitz and Luke if Pesci and Kovacevic were healthy. I think that's fair. But again, like I said, I want to see what Nemitz looks like up to that point. Is Kovacevic healthy? Is he back? Has he regressed any? Like, I need to see what this defense really looks like before you even remotely consider trading Dougie. World's Worst Gamer, my son said years ago that Tuck would suit us. My son hasn't been wrong about player talent in a long time, unlike me. I love Tuck. He was super high on my list of guys I would love to see added to this club. Or his teammate, Tage Thompson, obviously, which I believe is, more of a pipe dream than anything else. But wow, I mean, how much that would make that top line look much better. But for now, we gotta hope Daddy could do it. M Sharps is not a game played yet, and we're talking trades. Yo, Holmes, you can't replace the offensive value that Dougie brings on the back end. Oh, I agree, Yo, Holmes. So many people are just ready to dish him off. And I said, you guys are going to miss Dougie when he's gone one day. Jason knows the Devils should go all in for Tuck at the deadline. If and when the Sabres are terrible, I would love to see it. I would love to see Tuck on that top line. Jersey says Dougie is reliable when healthy. Jason says, of course, anyone's better than Cody Glass as a 3C. Woodson says Dougie is reliable for getting burned on defense. Come on, man. M Sharp says big body forward is needed when playoffs come, not now. I would love to see a gritty guy brought in, a gritty top 6 at the deadline would be awesome. SJ says, I love Dougie, but when Kobe comes back, he's the only logical trade choice. I mean, there was the rumors out there a few months ago that the Devils talked to some teams about him. I'm curious if Fitz was just gauging interest and planning on exploring it more seriously later, or he just was kind of seeing what was out there for now and nothing materialized. But either way, there was talks about it this summer with at least a couple teams. Unhinged Devs fan, we'll see who goes when Nason comes back. Hopefully nobody else out for injury instead. Yeah, hopefully. We've already seen some of the injuries piling up in the preseason. Luckily, none of the big guns yet, and hopefully it doesn't happen. But they're going to happen inevitably throughout the year, and you have to have depth to go to. Will be interesting to see who comes out when Nason comes back. I'm trying to think here. Who is the most logical? Yeah, that's a tough one. That is a real tough one. And could it be, will we see someone moved off of a wing and put at 4C? Very interesting to see what's going to happen. Greg, Dougie is solid defensively, and if that slapper comes back, his contract could actually be a steal with the raising cap. Would love to see the Dougie bomb return. World's worst gamer for sure. What kind of minutes is Gritsyuk expected to get, guys? Just wondering where he's pegged to start the season in terms of a line and how much ice time. Well, as of right now, he's pegged for fourth line duty with Glendening and my man Paulie Cotter. In terms, and I do think there will be opportunity for him on, at a minimum, power play 2. I do think there's a chance he may see power play 1 time at some point, or if the Devils are, experimenting with different combos, I do think he will get at least power play 2 time. And unfortunately, at least in past years, power play 2 sometimes has been like 20 seconds, 30 seconds at most, because that first unit stays out there forever. But he might get out there as well. But this was an overtime game. I'm just trying to see what his average time on ice was. He definitely got more time in that last game. Yeah, he played 11 minutes. He played 11 minutes in the Ranger game. He played 11 minutes in that one. What did he play in the Caps game? In the Caps game, he played 17-21. He played 17 and change in the other game. So, yeah, it's kind of all over the board. We're going to see. But I think he's going to have ample opportunity. He's going to get decent ice time, and I think he's going to perform. I think he's going to have a big rookie season. Unhinged Dev fan, I watched 1995 Game 6 Eastern Conference Finals earlier today on YouTube. They had Dowden for Breland in that game. Cool hearing all the detail back to the present day. What a game that was, too. Devils win their first Eastern Conference championship to advance to the Cup final. Amazing. Wooden says, get ready for Grits to play 8 minutes a game as per Keefe's philosophy on rookies. I don't think so. I hope you're wrong. I think we're going to see a nice year from this kid. 8 minutes would be criminal. Yeah, it's not an easy decision. But if it's not Glendening, right? Like, who are you taking out? Are you going to take Gritsyuk out? I mean, you're not gonna take out Connor Brown. You're not. Who are you taking out? It doesn't seem like they'd ever take out Palat. You're going to healthy scratch Palat. Like, you really look. It's like, where else is there? Where else are you pulling someone from? Traveling Devil says Jack, Luke, and Quinn in 2 years for McJesus. Oh boy. Unhinged Devs fan, NHL 66 works on my phone, not on my old iPad. What the hell's NHL 66? World's Worst Gamer for sure says no chance we are missing playoffs, Woodson. I completely agree with you. I mean, missing the playoffs would be insane. Cotter was the other one I mentioned the other day, and that would kill me too, because I think he brings a little bit of that grit. He's hitting guys. Scratching him would suck too. Yeah, there's no easy decision, but again, depth, baby. What a luxury. Didn't have it last year, and now we do. It's a beautiful thing to have, and you need to have depth if you're going to do anything in the playoffs. You can't just be a team that one injury could kill you. And last year, I feel like they kind of quit once Jack got hurt. I mean, in terms of making trades and stuff, it seemed like the Fitzy kind of checked out. John Fayoritis, I'm done for the night. See you Thursday for the return of Devils hockey. I will see you Thursday for the post game live. Woodson says it's like people in here haven't watched the Devils the past 15 years. In terms of what? Yeah, we need Cotter for the sandpaper. I wouldn't want to take him out either. I love Paulie. You guys know that. Yo, Holmes, NHL 96, great game or greatest game ever? It's a pretty damn good game. With the Scott Stevens cover. The Scott Stevens cover, man, I played that thing on Sega Genesis till my fingers bled. I had blisters. Me and my brother played that for... Shout out to the little bro. That was amongst the games we played. I think we got the system on a Christmas Eve at like... I forget what time my mom gave it to us. It's probably like 8 or 9 o'clock. I think we played it for like 24 hours. I had like quarter-sized blisters on my thumbs. My eyes were burnt from just not sleeping and staring at a TV screen. We had this. Me and my brother had like a very old school little shitty TV that we had it hooked up to, and it was like the greatest. Might be one of my favorite holiday memories was, and this was probably like in 1990. I don't know. 94 or no 95 maybe. It's an interesting. Was it Christmas 95? I don't know. Whenever it was a binge, and NHL 96 was in heavy rotation. That, Street Fighter, there was a couple others, and we just played for like a full day straight. It was crazy. SJ says Glendening put Paulie at center. Yeah, it seemed like that was kind of a last ditch, last case scenario kind of thing when we saw that, but I'm curious. Jay Snow says I would sit Glass. I can't see them doing that either, but I suppose that's a possibility. But then what? Then are you making someone else 3C, or are you bumping up Glendening to 3C and putting someone else at 4C? I had NHL 2001. I probably had it every year from the mid-90s till like 2010-ish. 2001 was cool. For Devil, where do we actually stand with the cap right now? LTIR used. Yeah, that's how we got compliant for the Luke deal. Guys went on LTIR. We had to use the LTIR spots to fit Luke under. They're going to have to figure out what the real fix is at some point. Jason let Cotter play center, but I don't think Keefe likes him there. 2001 had the main song Heavy by Collective Soul. Oh, man, I remember the intro music with the little clip. NHL Hits. Scott Stevens is on the cover of Hits as well. He was on the cover of Hits and NHL 96. He's a two-time video game cover champ. Yeah, it was him and Steve. The NHL 96 cover was a picture of Scott Stevens and Steve Yzerman, the two captains from the 1995 Stanley Cup Finals. What a time to be alive. What a great team. The 1995 New Jersey Devils. You should definitely try to find it, Yo Holmes. It's a pretty good game. Jason said Glendening 3C, Cotter 4C. Take care, traveling. Robbie's bench toss, NHL Hits 2002 at Stevens. Unhinged Devs fan, that era was peak society. Didn't even know it. I was a kid. It was peak society. Husky, I turned 21 in 1995, got blind drunk. That's amazing. Yeah, the crazy thing to think about, and this just puts it into perspective of how long the drought has been. I have not been. I have not. The Devils have not won a Stanley Cup while I was of legal drinking age. Now, that's not to say that obviously I didn't enjoy, certainly in 2003 when I was 18, certainly well versed in alcoholic beverages by then. And the 2000 Cup, I was 15. So at that point, it's probably some light dabbling. But I mean, wow, I'm an old man. And like I said, never would have thought all those years ago I would not have seen another cup at this point. And now I'm just hoping to see one more before I croak. Unbelievable. Steve Smith, room's looking good, my man. Thank you. It's maybe not fully done, but much closer to done than it was a couple days ago. So one of my buddies berated me for a long time on the phone about how I was slacking and it needed to get done. And so I got her done. Yo, Holmes, Jim Dowd in 95 being a New Jersey native and winning the first cup for the Devils can't be understated. Yeah, how about that game-winning goal in game 2? I think it was game 2. Yeah, in Detroit. The late goal put the Devils ahead. Wow. What a legend. I actually talked to Jim Dowd last week in an event. He's a funny dude. I got to have him on at some point. He's got some really good stories. Alan, I know why they did it, but I wish the Devils had kept McDermott. It would be kind of stupid for the Devils to think they could put Dylan out there to take care of a Rempe type. I mean, listen, I liked McDermott. Keefe doesn't like him. He wasn't going to play a lot. In the end, Dilly could handle his own. I think we have a couple other guys that could jump in and get involved in the fisticuffs when necessary. The guy that came back from Ottawa, McEwen, could be thrown into the lineup if we really need it, but it is becoming super de-emphasized as time goes on, and it seems like these guys are getting slowly phased out. M. Sharp, I'm hoping to hear you say, what a time to be alive for the team this year, Ace. I hope so, too. It's been a long time since this team was super relevant. I mean, obviously, we beat the Rangers in 22-23, but the last real relevant moment for the team, really, before that was going to the Cup Finals in 2012. Jersey Roots, Jimmy Dowd's mom was my bus driver. He brought the cup around town. Did you go to the Ark, Jersey Roots? I've heard a lot of stories about the Ark. Amagi says Siegs got elbowed on the ice while McDermott was out there too. Yeah, but then Rempe got his life spared by the refs. Yo, Holmes, there was virtually no high school in New Jersey that even had hockey teams back then. Yeah, it's become way more popular over the years. It is crazy how the sport has grown and how it's kind of happened during my lifetime. I've told the stories before. I became a fan in 94 when I was in elementary school. There were not many kids in general that liked hockey at all. And almost all of them liked the Rangers because, again, their parents or uncle or whoever, the older generation that lived around me in northern New Jersey, most of them were Ranger fans because it stemmed from the Rangers existing way before the Devils only came here in 1982. And so it goes back, way before then for lots of families. I'm a first-generation hockey fan, so I naturally picked the home team. But, there's tons of people that grew up with the older generations liking the Rangers because they were the local team. The Devils did not exist. But since then, hockey has become way more popular in New Jersey. It's more popular for kids. Way more high schools have it than they did back then. Jason, how about Pereira on Saturday? That fight was sick. Oh, man. I should have bet on him. Oh, wait. Snow, were you here for the live before? I think you guys asked me, or someone asked me for my picks, and I should have bet on them, and I didn't. I was right, all three. I said Alex, Yuri, and what was the other one? Marab. All three won. Pereira is an animal, and now, of course, all of a sudden it's stirred up, a lot of people trying to, and it would be crazy if this was his plan the whole time. I do think there's a chance John Jones comes back to fight him because he's a big name. It'd be a lot of money for John Jones, and I think it's an easy win. Much easier than Aspinall because Pereira, I just don't think is big enough to hurt John Jones. Lazar got hurt with Big Mac out there too. I don't remember that. How did he get hurt? My high school didn't have hockey, Jay Snow. And most of the towns in the area didn't. Most of the nearby towns didn't. Amagi McDermott didn't bring anything but penalty minutes. If we need someone to kick someone's ass, Dylan exists, Cotter exists, and they can actually play hockey, unlike Big Mac. That's some slander out here, Amagi. Wow. Unhinged, we fought early last season, then dialed it back, dial it back up, heavier, edgier, more violent. Yeah. For whatever reason, the fighting basically got turned off after the new year. I don't know what happened. We will also never know what happened. I have my theories, but in the end, it is what it is. Hopefully we see a little more this year if it comes down to it. I do think the team responded better. Marab doesn't lose. Yeah, so someone asked me for my picks, and I said Yuri, Marab, and Alex. Husky, Kermit the dog will be missed if Dilly goes down. Oh, boy. Yeah, but you guys talk about it like, listen, and I'm all for the heavier, edgier, more violent, and, and the enforcing. I like all that stuff, the fisticuffs. But in most games, it truly is not a necessity anymore, unfortunately. In the old league, it was. But the game is very different. Now, it's not to say, again, that I don't thoroughly enjoy it, think it has its place and all that, but it's not nearly the necessity that it was back in the day where every team had a heavyweight. Like there's tons of teams that don't have one at all because it is such a de-emphasized thing in the game today. SJ, 32 teams, so difficult to win a cup, needs some luck as well. Of course, luck is a huge part of it. And that's why I keep saying if a bunch of things go our way, I could see us doing damage. It starts with health. And then, it continues on with some guys overachieving would be nice. You kind of get some surprise big seasons out of guys that you weren't expecting. World's worst gamer for sure. Wedgwood is starting opening night for the Avs right now. Damn. Yeah, Wedgwood I always thought was going to be a good goalie. He just couldn't get it together and be consistent while he was a Devil. These pretzels are making me thirsty. Nico's King. McEwen is a worse fighter than McDermott, but he's not a liability with the puck and put up 3 points in 20-something games. I'm not sure if McDermott even registered a shot on goal. I don't think you're going to see much of McEwen either. Unhinged Dev senses Beach. Loves Seinfeld. All right. I'm going to start winding this down. I got to run to the bathroom real quick. I guess I'll show you the pictures that are kind of covered up in the corner there. We have below the 95 Cup team. You got Claude Lemieux in the locker room with the Stanley Cup and Conn Smythe in 95, and then Scott Stevens, obviously, with the Cup. And then next to that is Stevens and Jason Arnott lifting the 2000 Cup. And then on the other side, I forget, someone's profile picture is this, and I talked about it the other day. I don't know if they're in here right now or some of you there. But that picture right there is Scott Stevens leaving the ice after Game 7 in 2003, going into the tunnel with the Cup. Epic shot. I love that one. I'll be right back in 2 minutes, and we start winding it down. Questions, thoughts, comments, concerns, whatever you got. And I'm going to use the bathroom real quick. Then we'll start winding this thing down. Oh, I forgot to shout out our sponsor. Tonight's video brought to you by Quick Check. Delicious iced coffee with all the milk and creamers your heart could ever desire. You make it yourself to your own specifications. The ice is long melted in this one, but what a deal. $2 after, I think, 3 p.m. $2 40-ounce iced coffees in this economy? Get to your local Quick Check, huh? All right, back in 2 minutes. Throw it all out there in the comments. We'll start winding this down. Be right back. Light is bright. The lights are bright. All right, we're back. Omagi said, just like you said, the game is different. Even Rempe has calmed down for the most part. He's trying to play more regular hockey while throwing and missing hits. Ogre. Yeah, he's trying to be a more well-rounded player, and he's trying to be known for more than just his fighting, trying to make it as an effective bottom six guy in this league. We'll see how that goes. He does often line guys up and miss and whatever, but in the end, he is a gritty player. He's got size. We'll see what becomes of his career, but he's trying to kind of break away from the punching bag moniker, I think, that followed him for the early stages of his career when he was fighting heavyweights every single night and getting tagged up pretty good. Unhinged Devs fan, love when George told Steinbrenner how he ruined the Yankees and he drove around the parking lot dragging the World Series trophy. Yo, Holmes, there's no way McEwen ever sees the big club ice this season. You might see him for a game or two, but I wouldn't be surprised if you don't see him either. Good night, Beachmaster. How can I help you? So we're basically the same age. I was 17 in 03. Happened to be a Raider fan too. West Coast kid with East Coast roots. Never thought I'd wait so long for either of those teams. Oh, man. I think, yeah, no, we're exactly the same age. I was just about to turn 18. My birthday's in the summer, so I was 17, very close to being 18 during that 03 run. Went to every home playoff game during the 03 run except game one against Boston, my senior year of high school, and what a time to be alive. I've forever maintained my peak life year, I think, was 03. Senior year of high school, all the fun stuff leading up to graduation and the stuff in the summer. Devils winning the cup, an amazing run. I think I went to some cool concerts that summer as well. I also went to, I think that was that June. Yeah, it was the night of Game 6 was the Arturo Gatti, Mickey Ward trilogy, the third one in Atlantic City. I mean, phenomenal. Johnny Two-Tone, sorry if this has been covered. I'm optimistic about our bottom six this year. LeChance coming in could be very good. Yeah, he's going to start, though, in Utica, and he's going to have to wait for his opportunity, whether someone's pulled out of the lineup for non-performance or an injury. I do think LeChance will be, if not the first, one of the first couple guys called up, and I'm curious to see what he does with his chance when he gets it. M. Sharp, I like Ace has a Gen Prom sponsor. Tasha, finished the project. Oh, what kind of project was this, Tasha? You finished it inside of an hour and a half, an hour? That wasn't a major project. That was like a little one. Man, we're so close. And then tomorrow is the opener. I guess we're a half hour away from tomorrow. Exciting stuff. Anyone have anything else before I get on up out of here? Wow. What a long summer, though. I mean, they always seem long when we get eliminated early or don't make the playoffs, but I think because of how just kind of non-eventful the summer was outside of, free agency day, July 1, we get Brown and Dadonov, and then the summer was just a prolonged Luke Hughes contract saga. That's pretty much all we had all season long. I mean, all summer long. Which game are you talking about, Snow? I don't have my thing set, my station set up in here. I see 3-0 final. Are you talking about the West Coast game? Yeah, Rangers shut out in the opener. Wow. You'd love to see it. Tasha, it was called a Colony box project. We got assigned a Colony. I got NJ, and I basically just had to assemble an 8x8 box and print out pictures and tape them on so that people will be able to guess. That's not a project, Tasha. That's like a 5-minute homework assignment. Come on now. Husky Unchained, good show, Ace. Good night, all. Good night, Husky. Amagi heading to New York Comic-Cons this weekend, so I'll be underneath Home of the Enemy. Maria, New York or nowhere? Nowhere. Johnny Two-Tone agreed it was brutal. Glad we have action now. I knew you meant the hockey game. I didn't realize the Ranger game. Yeah, I guess it's so late. I'm just so out of it. I don't know. Yeah. So the only game going on. The new studio doesn't have it in here yet, Snow. My old setup in the distance had a TV. This one, I have a spot for it, but I haven't gotten around to doing it yet. New studio limitations at the moment. See you Thursday. Tasha, how do we think the Metro is going to pan out this season? I will talk about that in my prediction video, which probably will come out Thursday morning. Tasha, it took a long time to test Thursday. Probably the easiest project I've ever gotten, and it was for AP US. Oh, look at you in your AP classes. World's Worst Gamer. My son was saying I need to get excited about hockey again. Being here helped. Thanks, Ace and Chat. Go Devils. Awesome. Get excited. How old's your son, World's Worst Gamer? You got to get excited. It's a new season, a new slate, and a new year for them to break our hearts again. Now, hopefully not. Hopefully they come out and they kick some ass, because we've all been waiting for this for, I guess, depending on how long you've been a fan, but we've all been waiting for a period of time. The cable guy already came. I have all the hookups. I just got to figure out where I want the screen. Again, because I waited so long to get this thing finalized, and this is not even final, but it's final for now. I thought about kind of moving the whole thing within the room, so I didn't want to hang up any TVs or do any of that until I knew exactly where everything was going to be. And I also would like to put it in a spot where I could see it while I'm on here. But it's all a work in progress. I'm trying to get everything set up. Yo, Holmes, Ace, went to game 7 in 03 and then was in the bleachers for Roger Clemens. 300th win and 4,000th strikeout game. Devils had the cup in Yankee Stadium. Dudes wearing Brodeur jerseys in the bleachers, bro. That's awesome. Was that right after? Was that shortly? I guess that was probably, what, mid-June, right after Game 7 of the Cup? SJ says, Caps are a dark horse. They might finish second. Very interesting to see how they follow up that big season they had last year. Largely fueled by the Ovechkin goal chase, I think. What an exciting season for the Caps and their fans. I mean, it didn't end the way they wanted, but monster regular season. Ovechkin breaks Gretzky's record. Tosh, I thought the game was tomorrow until I learned yesterday. Disappointment. World's Worst Gamer. He's pretty old now. He's 25. He loves his hockey. Unfortunately, he does not love the Devils. How did you let that happen? What team does he like? World's Worst Gamer. Maria, rejoice the Rags laid a big fat goose egg to start their season. Yeah. So love to see it. What a shame. Shutout. A nice shutout for the New York Rangers. All right, that's it, folks. It's all over. It's all over. I got some stuff to do. Probably at least one video tomorrow, maybe two. Preseason predictions and things of that nature. Some other stuff I wanted to talk about. So just keep an eye out. The videos will be coming fast and furious. Obviously, there's going to be random lives like this one. You're going to have the post game. I got some other things in the works. And yeah, but I'm fired up for the season. Fired up. A new year of New Jersey Devils hockey, a new season to hopefully just finally perform. I mean, not finally perform. I mean, we saw a glimmer of hope in 22-23, but we need to take that next step. Eastern Conference Finals or bust, my friends. Hit the thumbs up for your boy on the way out. I can't see this. Probably not enough of you did it yet. So we'll see. We'll see. But thank you all for joining on this fine October evening. Lots of stuff in store. Lots of big hopes and dreams for the team this season. Lots of hopes and dreams for the channel this season. I'm always working on a lot of stuff behind the scenes, like I've told you guys before. Lots of good stuff. Unfortunately, takes a lot of time to marinate and come to fruition. But hopefully, I'm bringing some very exciting and cool stuff this season. I'm looking for a big season from this team in 25-26, and I'm looking for a big season for this channel. We're going to see how it all goes. One day at a time, but that's all I got, guys. Got to go do some stuff. Thank you all for watching. I love you all. Like, comment, subscribe, and all that jazz. Until next time, friends, let's go